Mikula the Kind spoke of the beginning.
Just kidding, there's no cool intro to this one. Hello, my name is illboy_x, and I am addicted to Elden Ring. I have over like 400 hours in the game, beat the game 10 times, getting every ending, every single item, and reading the descriptions for all of those. I've done every single quest line, I've heard every single possible voice line that's in the game, got max rank in all modes of PvP, and although it has nothing to do with the game, I've watched countless hours of content from lore and analysis videos to gameplay videos, even started reading the manga. I'm not yet done with that. And I guess lastly, I got into all the leaderboards in the Elden Ring GeoGuessr thingy. That's pretty cool. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is, Elden Ring has been like such a huge part of my life. I'm so invested into the gameplay, but more so to its lore. It's because I want to know more and more about the lore that I want to keep playing and finding out more about the story so that I have all the puzzle pieces I need to piece together the creator's story. Throughout all of those no-life hours doing the things I just previously mentioned, in trying to find out as much as I can about the lore in this game, I have actually started forming my very own theories on the game that I haven't seen anywhere, or if I have seen it somewhere, I sort of have a slightly different version of it, or maybe I have something to add to it. So I wanted to share that with all of you today. I also just wanted to add that it is completely possible that I'm not the first to think of these theories, or not the first to mention some of the details that I do point out later on. I'm going to be 100% transparent with you guys throughout the entire video. When I do sort of draw ideas from other sources, I will outright state reference whoever I got that knowledge from. And if I don't, then I came up with that theory completely by myself and the knowledge of the game. Now, it could be the case that someone else has thought of these exact same theories. Again, I remember when the game first came out that I pieced together by myself the connection that Mikula might be Saint Trina, and then I thought it was clever. Turns out, a lot of people on Reddit have already thought the same thing. So if that happens, I hope you don't take it the wrong way, and it's probably just a matter of maybe great minds think alike. I'd also like to add that throughout editing and recording this video, because this segment I'm recording right now is days after I recorded the actual talking parts, there's been a lot of people who've already played the DLC. So a lot of people who already know what happens and the lore of it. It's mostly content creators. And I do theorize about the DLC a little bit, quite a lot actually. But these theories could easily be debunked when the DLC comes out. I guess just view this as like a time capsule of all of my thoughts, all of the theories I've brewed up in my mind pre-DLC. But don't worry, because there are theories that I feel aren't so easily debunked by the DLC. Like, I use a lot of base game lore, base game knowledge to build on those theories. But who knows, maybe there might be some knowledge here that could actually be useful to you in the DLC, could be interesting to you. Because I'm sure it's going to take a lot of time for us to synthesize all of that lore. We won't know everything about it on release. So maybe this video can sort of help with that process. However this video ages, terribly or well, I just hope you have fun with it. This video is also incredibly long, so feel free to like play it in the background, treat it as a podcast, or skip to the parts that you like. Do whatever you want to do. But anyways, I made such a long fucking script to this video, if you can see. But the thing is, you're gonna see this activate Windows watermark the whole video, I'm sorry. It comes out on 21. It is now 14. I started the video way back somewhere around here, but thing is, there's just so much like college and family and friend stuff I have to attend to. You know, just life stuff. Yeah, there is not enough time for me to script this whole thing and then record it. As long as it may seem, these are like literally, this is the intro and this is two theories. This is the first theory and the second theory. I did start the third, but yeah, no time. So basically, fuck the script. I'm ditching the script. I'm just going in all Rambo mode, guerrilla mode. I'm just diving straight into this thing, and I'm gonna give all of my theories off the top of my head. I wanted to give these theories before the DLC comes out to, you know, see if I get anything right. Because that'll be a pretty cool thing. Maybe also give my little contribution to the community, because they've helped me. They've enriched the experience of Elden Ring so much for me, so maybe I can give back and do the same by giving my own theories. You know, maybe give you a theory that you resonate with, that you might believe in. Maybe I could help contribute to other existing theories. Maybe some of the things I say can help with those. Or maybe you don't believe any of this, and this will just be a person, a crazy conspiracy tinfoil hat theory guy throwing ideas at the wall, which I guess could be fun too. But yeah, that's basically all that I'm gonna do in this video. Take of it what you will. I don't know if this was a good intro at all, but whatever, we're doing it. We're going along with the flow. Again, because I am doing this just like fucking guerrilla style, I'm not gonna be able to provide all of like the references or of item descriptions that I'm talking about. I'm also probably not gonna be able to show too much gameplay, too much like footage, good editing. There's gonna be none of that in this video, so don't expect it. It's gonna be me just talking. I'll probably overlay a couple of gameplay footage and a couple of images to make my ramblings easier to understand, but that's basically it. But so that you're not completely bored to death, boom, hello, face cam, so that your brain is extra stimulated. It's very unfortunate that I wasn't able to do this high quality video that I've been imagining just due to time constraints. This is all we've got right now. We're working with what we have, and I hope it works out somehow. But yeah, I hope you genuinely give this video a chance. I really do believe I have some cool stuff to say here, and to hook you even further, no matter how much you've played the game, no matter how much lore you've deep dived into, no matter how much you've done anything about Elden Ring, I can assure you 100% that there is at least one theory you've never ever heard of. So stick around. Okay, I guess we'll begin with theories relating the DLC trailer, just the overall teasers, like the pictures, more specifically. Let's start with this Mikolan Knight guy. Yes, this guy in the image. I'm just gonna... There you go. There you go. I also should say that I am gonna be talking about knowledge that came from the playtest of the DLC. So if you don't want to hear that and consider that as spoiler, probably don't click off. Probably skip to like the next theories. I will to also make this video more digestible, I will be splitting it into chapters, so you can just skip to the ones that you want to hear, the ones that sound the most interesting. But here, from the playtest, we know that this is Needle Knight Leda, and she's the one that talks in the first trailer of the gameplay. She's gonna be an NPC that's gonna follow us around the Land of Shadow. First appearing in Mogwin Palace and then going with us, touching the withered hand. But anyways, just a couple of things I noticed. By the way, yeah, this is a Miro board and I have a face cam and I'm talking about Elden Ring. I am definitely stealing Quailag's whole flow. I'm sorry for stealing your flow word for word, bar for bar. But I just think I understand now why you do these types of videos. There's genuinely no time to like fully script a whole thing to get this much information out in time. So I'm sorry to steal your flow, but I have to. I just have to do it. Go subscribe to Quailag and Vati too. They're like the two, and Zuli the Witch. There's actually a lot. I'm just gonna post them on screen. These are like the main sources of information of Elden Ring that I yes. First thing I noticed, like a few hours after this image was posted, this motif, if you notice, this middle thing and this helmet even is very much similar to the Enchanted Knight set, the Carrion Knight set, the one that's usable in the beta test, and the one worn by Moongrum, the one that you get from Rhea Lucaria. On that set, you notice these motifs down the middle, and the helmet, although it is different, definitely, it has these sort of ribbings, similar ribbings too. Let me just pull up a picture, actually. Here, they have the same ribbings. Do you know what I mean? That's definitely not the right word, but that's the word I'm using. These sort of things, this line. Yep, it has these things and also a headpiece right there. Also very, very similar looking eyes, I guess. Yeah, they look very similar, which is very interesting because this is not the first time we've seen something Carrion turn into something Mikolan. We know Royal Knight Loretto was once a Carrion Knight who was at Carrion Manor. We fight her projection there. But then one day she sort of switches factions to Mikola's side, to the Halig tree, even altering her armor to be more like Halig tree esque, I guess. There's also the Mikola Knight Sword. This one, which thank you also to Fextra Life for providing this stuff. It's modeled after the swords carried by Carrion Knights, but instead of glintstone, it's embedded with Amber of the Halig Tree. So again, something Carrion being turned into something Mikolan is just like a small theme that's going on. It wouldn't be too far a reach to theorize that this armor is also of Carrion origin that turned into Mikola's side. So this could either be a former Carrion Knight like Leda, who switched to the Mikola's side. It could be that they just repurposed Enchanted Knight armor into this. It could also be that they just like the Mikola Knight Sword, they just modeled this armor after the Carrion Knight set. So maybe they didn't convert it, but it was inspired by it. But yeah, that's definitely interesting. It's definitely one of those things, I think. And I'm gonna call her a Mikola Knight because there is a Mikola Knight Sword. What's interesting here, it says it's not been offered to any knight, an ill-starred sword with no master. Could it be that this is the master of the sword, and maybe this it having no master could be a way of telling us that Leda was probably in a hurry to get to the Land of Shadow to follow Mikola, so much so that she didn't even wait for her sword to be made, she just went, you know? Could be something like that, I'm not so sure, but there is that. I saw a Twitter post saying this. This symbol is the one seen on the Ring of the Withered Hand also, so it's definitely a Mikola themed symbol. This is sort of like the braids of his hair. Let's talk about the sword next. So this is pretty interesting too. I don't know if I'm diving too deep here, but doesn't this look like a T-pose? Like this is the index, this is the rest of the fingers, this is the thumb, this is the arm, this is the torso, this will be the head. Does that make sense? It immediately reminded me of Golden Order fundamentalist incantations. Like you do a T-pose when you cast those. And also, interestingly, this sort of crisscross design, we know this is Radagon's rune. We see this behind his statue, on his sword seal and scar seal. We see this blocking the way to the Erd Tree. We also see this in the Preceptor's masks, those that he told of his secret, that he is also Marika, and then he made like a crisscross mask to sort of symbolize them to like, shut the fuck up, don't tell anyone about this. We also see this on the main Elden Ring logo itself, or just the Elden Ring. So interestingly, the sword might actually have Radagon relation somehow. So I got a couple of things on here. I'm looking at an iPad, pieces of the script that I ditched on what that could possibly entail. Firstly, this could be a gift from Radagon to Mikola, because the Radagon's Rings of Light incantation was a gift of gratitude to the young Mikola from his father, and it also makes you do and casting that spell makes you do like a T-pose. I don't know if that's a strong enough connection, but it could be a gift from Radagon to Mikola, and maybe the reason why it landed in the hands of Leda is because he discarded it, probably threw it away, just like Radagon threw away his like marital sword from Renala. Golden Order Greatsword, he casted it away in that one cave in Mountaintops. Could be like that. Maybe he did this after finding out what Radagon Marika did in the Land of Shadow, like wiping an entire country off the map. I would imagine you'd be pretty mad and cast their shit away, the shit that they gave you away. So, could be the case. A next thing is that this sword could also be designed by Mikola after his father, Radagon. The same way that Radon designed his armor after his father, Radagon, and Godfrey, like he was kind of like a fanboy of them. So maybe Mikola being a fanboy of Radagon at first, probably. I'm sure not anymore once he found out what happened again, but maybe before that, Mikola made this sword in his image. Maybe I'm making this up like literally right now. Wasn't it this one? Thank you, Anonymous, for reposting it. In the 1.0 description, take this with a grain of salt because it could have been changed, because this is changed now. It's not like this anymore. Maybe it was changed because they wanted to retcon, or alter the lore, but assuming this is still canon, assuming 1.0 texts are still canon to some degree, hailing from Rhea Lucaria, these enchanted knights, ooh, once belonged to the Carian royal family but were later gifted to Miquella by King Consort Radagon. Interesting. So this Needle Knight Leda could be one of those knights gifted to the Halig tree. And if Radagon supported this switching from Carian to Miquellan, maybe he's the one who gave these knights these swords himself. Why Radagon would support Miquella, I have no idea off the top of my head. Again, in 1.0, the Leonine Misbegotten are called, who also have red hair by the way, are called Children of Radagon, which I don't know what the fuck that means. I don't want to get into that right now. But if they're possibly the children of Radagon, adopted or not, they are related to him somehow. And they all gather by the Halig tree, because the Halig tree is a place where all like sort of outcasts of society gather. If he truly sees those as his children, and the Halig tree is where they gather, it would make sense that he would support Miquella and his whole plan to make the Halig tree, because it sort of helps his kind, something like that. So probably one of those theories are right. That's all I've got for this one. It's already been 15 minutes. I'll just cut this video down as much as needed. But that's this image done. Needle Knight Leda. Very cool armor and sword. I want to get that, but I don't want to have to kill her for it. Please. Please don't. Alright, now moving on to this guy. Bear with me again, because this is going to be so long, but we're just getting the most debunkable ones out of the way. I promise you, please believe me, it's going to get way better and deeper and more mind-blowy beyond this point. But this dude, holy shit, this dude gave me a run for my money just by existing. I haven't even fought this thing yet, and it's already hurting my brain just thinking of the lore of it. But here we go. Hello, Future Me here, just quickly wanting to say, through the Red Bull gaming event of the DLC, we know that this thing is called a Curseblade. Whether it being called a Curseblade will support or be against the things, the theories I'm about to say, will be completely up to you. But that's just the thing I wanted to add. First thing I noticed is that it has these horns, these omen horns. So it's either an omen as well, just like Margit, Moog, and the rest of the omens. It could be it could be someone bearing the omen curse, or it has these horns because it's connected to the Crucible, sort of Crucible era, which we know that thanks to the beta DLC gameplay testers, that the civilization of the Land of Shadow is connected to the Crucible. Like these, thanks to Vati's video, that I discovered that the Black Knights were like entrusted with the power of the Crucible. I think something like that. I'm just gonna post it on screen. So it's definitely Crucible related, and because that age is when horns, tails, wings, and all this other stuff would pop out of you, and that was seen as a beautiful thing. This creature would really fit there. So it's definitely something that's touched by the Crucible or an Omen Curse bearer. Either way, the Omen Curse probably does have something to do with the Crucible anyway. So one of those things. Oh yeah, more things to support that it's an omen. It wears a cloak, which is kind of similar to Morgoth's, kinda. It's also got gray skin and white hair, just like they do. The foot and hands even look like theirs, sorta. You can even stretch it so far as to say that this darkness that the image is in is actually part of the lore. There's a Fell Twins boss fight in the game where two omens like ambush you and they make everything dark. I'm assuming they cast a version of the darkness incantation. I say a version because the darkness incantation we get is only used by assassins who are tarnished. And tarnished are without grace. But omens, no matter what they say in the lore, they still have grace in their eyes. They have gold in their eyes. I found this out from Zuli the Witch. So they can't be tarnished, so they probably didn't use the exact version of darkness incantation that we have, but they may have a different version of it. Probably a stronger one if it's able to black out the entire area. So this could be that, or Another alternative is forget everything I said about the darkness incantation. It could be that omens have this innate ability, because this was pointed out by Zeostorm. Moog the Omen, when you first fight him, he's enshrouded by this darkness also. He could be casting darkness, I guess. I don't see the reason why. It's literally just there and then it disappears when you walk in the room. In his case, I don't think it's the darkness incantation. It could also be, it also has like sort of red mixed in with it, like his own. It could be just his own version of darkness with black and red. I'm not sure. But yeah, this second theory about the darkness is that it's an innate omen ability. But it might seem a little bit too far-fetched because we only see this instance twice, so it's probably not that. It's probably just the Fel twins probably just do have a darkness incantation on them. And because Moog the Omen is a projection, the black and red thing around him is probably just an effect of being a projection. That's what I believe, at least. Let's move on to the creature's mask. So instantly we see, this is a sick, badass mask, by the way. First of all, it's golden in color, which is pretty strange because gold is a color of the Greater Will. And if Marika works for the Greater Will and Marika basically like fucking burned this guy's entire nation using Messmer, I don't know why this thing would be wearing gold. It could be that this creature took down a golden order soldier and then wore their mask as like a trophy, maybe to scare them off. That would be pretty sick. It could also be that this creature sort of defected to Marika's side, the same way fire giants defected to Marika's side, becoming trolls. That ancient dragons joined Marika as well. That a lot of people joined Marika. Rhea Lucaria too, and the Carians. And also, there is an example of omens in the game. As we know, omens. Marika doesn't like omens. The Golden Order doesn't like the Omen Curse, doesn't like horns and aspects of the Crucible. That's why they stuff them all in the sewer. But if they're willing to work for them as a soldier, as a weapon of war, they are allowed above ground and they throw themselves into battle for the Golden Order. So yeah, this could be a case of that. A creature seen as unholy and disgusting and as an enemy allowed into the Golden Order to be used as a weapon. That's not something too far-fetched for Marika to do because she's done it a ton. Next thing about the mask, the little flowery thing. To me, they look like flowers or leaves or some tree-related thing. I'm not sure, but this instantly reminded me of Erdtree Guardians, the sort of flowers that sprout from their back. So this could probably be a Erdtree Guardian of the Land of Shadow, or a Guardian of the Shadow Tree, which we know is called the Skadu Tree, I think. The Skadu Tree, whatever. The Erdtree Guardians also wear a mask like this, I should say, golden, with a golden tinge and this like sort of face shape. Although they're probably not connected, D as well has a golden mask with a face shape, and he works for the Golden Order, so they're probably not connected, but maybe like at a thematical level, I don't fucking know. And Erdtree Guardians too also wear little bracers on their arms, just like this creature, so that's something. Another thing that this mask could be related to is House Hoslow. This is very far-fetched, but there's a Hoslow's helm that has flowers, that's adorned with flowers as well, and also has a face shape, so something similar to this. Could be a member of House Hoslow because we don't really know too much about them. Maybe we find out their origins in the Land of Shadow, who knows. This could also be House Marai because they wear a bunch of face-shaped masks and helmets, and it's been theorized a lot that House Marai will play a role in the DLC because they're part of the Shaded Castle and Shade, Land of Shadow. There might be a connection there. Maybe they're from there. They are from a distant land, it said. Could also be Volcano Manor related, maybe. I'm not too sure about that one. But I say that because Tanith and the man that they have on the wall wears similar face-shaped mask, and Tanith is even theorized to be from House Marai previously. It's a little bit far-fetched, but just wanted to throw that out there. I think that's pretty much all I've got for the mask. It's a lot of things, but it's probably one of those things, probably. Or maybe not. Maybe it's just a new mask from a new faction we've never seen before. That's a possibility. Next up, let's talk about the creature's bracers. So a couple of possibilities here. We already stated that the Erd Tree Guardians also wear bracers, so it could be a Skadu Tree Guardian. But there's a couple of other people who wear bracers in the game, some of them being the Godskin Nobles and Apostles. This is probably not related to the Godskin. If you were to tell me to stretch as far as I can, this could be a God Skinner. Like he skins gods using these fucking badass weapons out of Dark Sector. And then hands over them to the Glomide Queen and the Apostles and Nobles to make armor out of. But that's probably not the case. That's definitely not the case. Next possibility. Messmer actually wears bracers just like these too. Very interestingly. So if this in fact is the same bracers as Messmer, this could mean a couple things. First one, obviously, that they may be in the same faction, which would align with the question earlier, which was why would this thing wear gold if it's from the Crucible era? Again, maybe it could have defected to Marika's side. Now we have 2 points of proof, being the gold and the bracers that Messmer wears. I guess it would be the same with Messmer being a mix of all of these blasphemous traits like Serpents and possibly Dragon Communion. I theorize even Formless Mother and Blood Flame, just by the color of his flame, and his spear kind of looks like a weapon of communion, just like Moog's is. That's just a personal theory I'm gonna fit in there. He's just a mix of all of this blasphemous stuff, but Marika does let him slide, just like the many Omen in the game, because he's of use to her, so it could be the case with this creature too. And if you'd allow me to make an even longer stretch, do you see this like mist smoke around the creature with kind of orangey reddish hints to it in these points? Could that possibly be smoke? And if it is smoke, I could make up a role in Messmer's faction that they could fill. If Messmer is the flame that will burn all of his enemies, maybe this creature is the smoke that'll suffocate all those that survive. Pretty cool, right? I made that all up. But I guess while we're on the topic, let's move on to the mist now. Just like all the other parts of the creature, I have a couple of possibilities on what this might be. Borrowing from the previous idea I just stated, maybe this guy defected from their Crucible Kingdom to Messmer's side, but maybe they only did so after being burned by Messmer's flame. So maybe this was burned in battle with Messmer, and then only then did he find out, oh shit, he's too strong for us, I should just defect to his side. And I guess Messmer's flame is so fucking strong that the mist, the smoke still remains after being burned. Or maybe being burned by Messmer is like an initiation to his faction. So we might see other like misty, smoky creatures in the game. I don't know. It could be something not related to Messmer's flame at all. Because the first thing that came to mind when I saw this thing is Godfrey, his second phase, Hoarlu's mist that comes out of him. I know they're probably not related. That's probably more likely to be just body heat emitting from him. But what I thought is it could be sort of like a technique that comes from this Crucible Kingdom, because Godfrey most likely does come from this Crucible Kingdom. Credit to Tarnished Archaeologist for this. He noticed that the architecture of the fortified manor is different from the rest of Leyndell that surrounds it. So it could be that there was a kingdom previously there, and Marika sort of built on top of it. And because Godfrey was of use to her, kept only his building a part of Leyndell. So if Godfrey... also, Godfrey has the Crucible Knight, so another connection to the Crucible. An even bigger one. So if he really is from the Crucible, and he does have that steam mist to him, and this creature has that mist too, maybe there's like a fighting technique that they do, which causes mist to come out of their bodies. Maybe it's the reason why Hoarlu can make fucking earthquakes out of the ground with his hands. Because he is just human after all. The power doesn't come from Sirosh because he killed Sirosh and he still has the power. So it's either this is a fighting technique, this mist thing, or it's not, because they do look kind of different, and I guess he's just built different. I guess he can just make earthquakes with his hands. Maybe he's like 99 strength, even more than that. And a last thing, and this is kind of long. This could be the same dark mist that's described in the Creepus's Vial item description. We never really learn what that mist in the bottle is, so maybe this is that. The mist eliminates all sound made by the wearer during movement. So if this really is the same mist, imagine this to be like a stealth assassin sort of dude. He does kind of give off those vibes. That would be pretty terrifying to not hear its footsteps. Creepus's Vial reads that it's a ritual implement used by Round Table Hole assassins. So ritual, maybe the assassins sort of draw power from this creature through an incantation or something and then store it in these little bottles. Yes, the Land of Shadow is veiled, but I don't believe that this means you can't draw power from there, because things get sealed but still have power. Like the Rune of Death is sealed, but it still has some power. The Outer God of Scarlet Rot is sealed within the lake, but Melina is still cursed. And you can even use incantations to draw from that power of Scarlet Rot. So I think it's still possible. I think it's still possible for you to draw power from something veiled. But just like Godfrey's Mist looking different from this one, the Dark Mist in Creepus's Vial does look very different from this mist. So this is probably a reach. And the connection is probably unlikely. Thankfully, I don't want this creature making no noise. Please. Onto a different aspect of the creature. Do you notice its pose? Its little pose that it's doing. That is very similar to Godwin's pose that he does when he's assassinated on the Knight of Black Knives, and the pose that he remains doing in the Deep-Root Depths. So maybe this is Godwin related. But looking at the timeline again, the Knight of Black Knives happens way, way later from when the Land of Shadow is veiled, theoretically. So how the hell is this possible? Well, first of all, thanks to the closed beta test and Vati Vidya again, he does mention that actually he fought this creature, and if he got an item from it, the description could actually debunk literally everything I'm saying, but whatever. He did say that someone in the room with him mentioned fighting sort of like a, I don't want to say an inaccurate thing, but it's a blank of Godwin. So Godwin has some forces in the Land of Shadow. We'll get more to that later. What probably happened is Land of Shadow was veiled, and then this creature later on the timeline, like present day, was somehow influenced by Godwin. I'm assuming because this is very theoretical now, but the Erd tree and the Skadu tree I think are the same thing, like the different sides of the same coin. Yes, they are physically separate now because Marika sort of separated them, but I think they're metaphysically the same thing, just separate, kind of like a Radagon Marika thing. It could be that Godwin's rotting Deathroot corpse, because it's connected to the Deep-Root Depths and to the Erd tree, it could be that it's affecting this veiled land and the Skadu tree, the other side of the Erd tree as well, even being physically disconnected. So that maybe that's where Godwin's influence sort of enters from. We do see that the Skadu tree is like twisted and it looks like affected by Deathblight. So maybe if that's affected by Deathblight, so the creatures living in the Land of Shadow, some of them could be affected by Deathblight too. There is a fly sickness that's mentioned in the beta gameplay. Again, learned this from Vati. That could be related to this because there's sort of flies that come out of Deathblight. So maybe that's something, I don't know. But yeah, could be a Godwin connection. Also, this gash on its back, it could just be a spine. But it definitely looks like, to me at least when I first saw it, it looks like the curse mark carved onto Godwin's back. So it could be sort of like that, but I don't know. But while we're on the topic of Deathblight, let's move on to this tangent theory first. So, okay. There are a lot of flames in the game, which each have their own backstory, their own powers, their own colors and everything. But an interesting thing is, confusing and mysterious thing too, is there is the Prince of Death's flame that we get using the Eclipse shuttle, which is gold and black in color. This causes Deathlight, buildup of Deathlight in the enemy. But then there's also this gold-black flame that the Omens use. They like spit it out. They imbue their weapons with it. like Margit does. You could even summon them with Wraith Summoning Bells and Omen Bairns. But what these are is basically the vengeful spirits of those that died cursed. We're not going to get into that too much, but do you notice that these things are very different thematically, just conceptually, but they look so much alike? It's not even like, oh, they look a bit alike. No, they look so much alike. Like, you could definitely mistake one for the other pretty easily. Just look at that. Them being so similar, but them having so little to connect the two of them together was definitely mind-boggling to me and to a few in the community. I've seen a couple posts on Reddit talking about that. What if this thing, which bears Omen horns and bears Godwin's pose, Omen and Godwin related, maybe this thing is the bridge. Hold on, I'm doing something cool. Yeah, the bridge between these two things. Maybe whatever lore this thing has will connect those two. I don't know exactly how, but it's just a maybe. Definitely look out for this dude's lore and how he could possibly connect to Godwin or the Omen Curse. I'm gonna just put that out there. Oh, I guess I have a couple things on script too. A couple of things I guess that could also link the two, but are not exactly the strongest. The Prince of Death and all the Deathblight, Deathroot stuff comes from the curse mark carved into Godwin, and this is the Omen Curse. So there's two curse-related things. Also, this probably means nothing, but Godwin, who is the cause of this flame, and Morgott and Mohg, who are not the source of this flame but can use this flame, all of them are siblings. I don't know what that means, but that's something. Also like to add that there is this particular pattern in the sky that we only see related to Omen Curse and Deathblight, and it's the sky in the Blessing of Despair ending, which is the ending of the Dung Eater, where you curse the entire world. That's what the sky looks like. And in the Deathbed Dream, which is Godwin's dream, which is affected by Deathblight, that's where Fortisax became a Lich Dragon, there's this same pattern in the sky. So I don't know what that means, but there could be a connection there. Also, a last additional theory, I guess this both counts for this Curseblade and Godwin, the pose that they do. I noticed, and my friend noticed, and a bunch of comments noticed that this thing, the pose it does, looks like a uterus. And that was like sort of a joke at first, but now that I look into it, I don't know if this is too deep. Godwin's corpse, which is doing the shape of the uterus, is where their mending rune, which will bring their new age, is born. Technically, it's gestated by Fia, but like Godwin's corpse, the uterus is the place where it was born, that rune. But yeah, definitely when you're looking into this guy, keep these things in mind. Moving on to the second to last thing of this image. Jesus Christ, this is so long. We're gonna move past this, I promise. Let's talk about its weapons. I'm not exactly sure what weapon type this is. All of the 8 weapon types have been revealed, being, let's see if I can name them all right now. Light Great Sword, throwable knives, hand-to-hand, whatever that's called. The Beast Claws, Great Katana or Odachi, the Perfume, the Reverse Grip Sword, oh, and the Dueling Shield. There you go. Fucking got it. Those are the new weapon types. I don't know what this falls into, but in the beta DLC test, there's a lot of weapons that just, like a lot of normal weapon types that just have a throw attack built into it, which is very fucking cool and unique. There's a throwable axe in the trailer. I've heard of a throwable hammer or mace that everyone says is broken. So whatever this category falls into, I do believe we're gonna get this weapon. Whatever it falls into, it's probably gonna be like a boomerang type of thing when you throw it. We do see another boomerang used in the gameplay trailer, used by the skeleton orb head guy. He throws a giant bone boomerang, so I'm pretty sure we're gonna get this. I'm so hyped for the new weapons, by the way. I think I'm gonna be using the Great Katana the most, or any of the throwable weapons, honestly. And the reverse grip weapons look cool too. I'm gonna use all of them. The hand-to-hand too. All of them. Never mind what I just said. I'm using all of them. The last thing about this creature it when I first saw this, it gave me assassin vibes. It just looks like an assassin. I'm sure a lot of you think that, feel that too. Yo, hello. Oh my god. I don't know if you can notice, but my family invited me to go drinking mid-recording, and now I drank and I can't feel my lips, but we gotta continue. The Pringles. We gotta continue because we got shit to do tomorrow. So I'm sorry if my speech is a little bit slurred or if the words I'm saying don't make any sense, but we gotta go. We left off at this thing gives off generally like assassin vibes, and I may have given off a couple of assassin connections here and there with the Creepus's Vial possible connection there, and the Darkness incantation possible connection there. So I thought, what if this thing is an assassin of the two fingers? Also the gold mask sort of being. Also, I did look into gold mask if he has any connection to this thing, because it does have a gold mask, and it's I didn't really find anything. They just both wear gold masks and work for the Golden Order. I guess that's all that there is. The gold mask also symbolizing, I guess, that it works for the Golden Order. That is another assassin connection, because they do work for the Two Fingers, who works for the Golden Order. There's just a couple of signs that point to this being being very similar to at least an assassin. Credit to Zeostorm for finding this observation, but there's a symbol that appears throughout assassin-related stuff in-game. Notably, the previously mentioned Creepus's Vial, the Creepus's Black Key crossbow, and the Confessor's Hood. Confessors are basically, if you read their item description, they're basically the same thing as assassins. Loyal servants to the Two Fingers, ready to hunt down and dispose of their enemies. Zeostorm pointed out that the Spear of Messmer sort of resembles the symbols seen on the Assassin and Confessor related stuff. And that would make sense, since Messmer's task is again to hunt down those stripped of the grace of gold. And assassins basically do the same thing. They hunt down those which have strayed from grace. Basically the same thing if you look at it that way. I guess mini theory, the assassins and Messmer work together. But yeah, if this thing has so much assassin related stuff, also the black weapons, assassins use black colored stuff. If it has so much assassin related stuff, maybe it is an assassin. You know, if it smells like poop and looks like poop, maybe it is poop. You know, valuable life lesson. So that's basically all I got. Although a more accurate thing to say is that it's in the same faction as assassins. Again, assassins are Tarnished of the Round Table Hold, who work for the Two Fingers, and this thing, although it could be the case, it's probably not Tarnished. So it's probably, if it is in the same faction, it's probably under a different name. Maybe used as like a failsafe in case some Tarnished find their way into the Land of Shadow, these guys take them out. But that's basically it. That's all I have for this creature. That's all I have for these two JPEGs. I deep dive into these two JPEGs way too much, and I think it's time to move on. I hope you're still with me. I'm definitely noticing my speech has changed, but we're continuing. Oh my god. Let's finally move on to the last DLC theories I have that aren't based on just fucking JPEGs. The next thing I wanted to talk about, I guess, is what the Land of Shadow even is. Because there's been a couple theories on it for a while. The first theory I had when I first saw it is, and I talked about this a bit in my reaction video to the first trailer. The first thing I thought, at least, was that it was sort of a hell. Like in Asgard, the Yggdrasil, the Divine World Tree, had 3 layers, which was Asgard, Midgard, and Helheim. I thought that the Land of Shadow would be Helheim, and that there would possibly be a second DLC of Elden Ring, which would be Asgard. But now we know that there's no second DLC. This is the last one, unfortunately. I thought it could be an afterlife. I know Vati did point that out as well, and a lot of other people too. Could be sort of related to the Helfen or something. But the more I look into it, and the more now that these trailers are actually out, I buy the theory that this is not an afterlife, another reality or something, but literally it's a continent of the Land of Shadow that's been basically ever jailed by Marika. Since we know Everjails are just like a pocket dimension that's basically like a copy of the base world, but they're like in their own plane of reality that's just like the real world, but not really. Although it's probably not literally Everjails, because Everjails are like very magic intelligence based, and Marika is said to have veiled them. So probably a veil could be like the Faith version of an Everjail, because we know that there are similarities between intelligence and Faith. Tops's barrier, Tops's just field of study is to kind of like find the similarities between incantations and spells, because they are there, but then he died in pursuit of that. There's also some spells that are really similar. There is Carrion Retaliation, which parries spells and turns them into swords. And then there's Golden Retaliation, which does the same thing, parries spells, but turns them into like a golden projectile. So while they are different, they do have similarities, even down to the naming scheme. There's also seals, things that just physically block doors or block places. We see incantation-based seals with like the different wizard towers, the Celian, like caves, they have seals there. Even though the gate to Rea Lucaria is sealed. We also see faith-based ones. Morgott placed like a golden seal, blocking the way to the two fingers. There's a couple other examples out there that I can't name off the top of my head. But basically, the point is there's spells and incantations which basically do the same things, although being faith and intelligence based. Back to the original point, veiling something is probably just the faith equivalent to ever jailing something. So that's what I think happened to the Land of Shadow. It's not some afterlife, it's not some parallel dimension, it's literally a continent of the Lands Between, a whole entire region which was veiled by Marika, just like taken off to a separate layer. You know how like in digital art there's different layers and stuff? It was basically taken to a different layer. That theory was inspired by Quaylag. I know she pointed out in a video that someone tried to like line up the Land of Shadow sort of capital that we see in the trailer to Leyndell, and some of it sort of matches up. And again, back to what I said, the discovery that Zeostorm made about the architecture of the fortified manor being different from the rest of Leyndell. What if the civilization that Leyndell built over was the civilization we saw in the trailer, the Land of Shadow, that Messmer and Marika burnt? And the fortified manor is the only thing that remained because Godfrey and his Crucible Knights chose to serve Marika. So yeah, that's literally what I think the Land of Shadow is now. Not anything else, but literally just a whole continent sort of put into a pocket dimension that we don't see anymore in the base dimension because it was veiled. I also forgot to mention that the Divine Towers, to support this, the Divine Towers all built around the center of the Lands Between. I think that's why they're positioned there, because there's literally a land in there, in the middle, and these Divine Towers were built around it. That's why they all point to the center, because there was once a civilization in the center, but it's now veiled, and we don't see it. So now it's just a cloud and the empty thing. That's why there's an empty thing too. Also, that's why there's the sort of waterfall that goes, you know, between Caelid and mountaintops. Also, there's a theory that why the hell are there frost dragons in mountaintops and when dragons existed in Caelid? I learned this from Vati. There's a theory that there was once a land bridge. The Land of Shadow was the fucking land bridge. It just makes sense. It all makes sense. Oh my god. I love this theory. Moving on. I think I'm honestly just talking better while drunk. Is that a thing? Do you guys notice that? I think I'm just spouting out words, which is way better than thinking of what to say. The Grafted Blade Greatsword says that it's from a lone surviving champion from a country now vanished. A country now vanished? That's very damn specific and sounds like the Land of Shadow. That's like the only thing I can think of being a country that has vanished, you know? And being that it's just like a country that's literally just disappeared off the face of the world, what if that's where a lot of things we're confused about is located? Like the Twinbird, the outer god of the Deathbirds that we've never heard of, the Blackstone civilization of who built the golems, which is actually pretty plausible because there are golem-based creatures in the beta test. The little bird things who use Ghost Flame to, very interestingly. This could also be where whoever made the Crystallians, whoever crafted the Crystallians, because there is just like a dude who made these things, who like sculpted these things. Maybe that's where he is. Maybe that's where the outer god of Placidusax is, because they did leave, whoever the hell they were. Maybe it's the Twinbird. I think it's the Twinbird. Because a few of the architecture in Farum Azula kind of resembles a Twinbird. But whoever it is, it's said that they fled and then never returned, and that's why Placidusax just stays there, waiting outside of time. Maybe they were in the Land of Shadow and they got veiled. Maybe that's why they couldn't come back. And we fight them in the DLC or possibly side with them. That could be the case. I think a lot of things that we're confused about on like where the hell these guys were. Maybe they're in the Land of Shadow and they just got veiled. Last little theory that I wanted to make about this, because I was thinking about it for a while. It could be a counterpoint or like a hole in the theory that if it is a country that's veiled, why is nobody fucking talking about it? If it's like a whole like civilization just gone in the blink of an eye, like disappeared off the face of the earth, why is no one talking about this? Why is there no documentation about this? I remember that there's a tonic of forgetfulness item that we're able to get, and when we give it to NPCs, they do just that. They forget things. So what if that's what happened? How Marika was able to get everyone to forget, kind of like a Doctor Strange, everyone forget Peter Parker type beat. How she was able to do that, I'm not sure. Off top, maybe if this giant mass of bodies is the Crucible, and the Crucible is where all life once blended, which is pretty fucking metal and like Miyazaki type plot twist for sure. When you say all life being blended together, you imagine it to be a beautiful thing and not literal everybody is like meshed together. Anyways, if all of life really is together in the Crucible and Marika's in control of it, maybe she's able to alter their memories, veil the Land of Shadow, and then just put everyone back where they were, except she's in rule now. It's kind of got similarities to Attack on Titan. Interestingly, I don't know if there's any inspiration there. Maybe, maybe not. Spoilers for AOT. But a leader of a kingdom making walls out of people and then wiping everyone's memories. A leader of a kingdom making a tree out of dead bodies and then wiping everyone's memories. Maybe it's something like that. I don't know. Thinking about it now, actually, could it be the tonics of forgetfulness, whatever substance they use, comes from serpents? Because the item description of the tonic that we do get in game says it's bestowed upon by Rykard. It's given by Rykard. And because we know Messmer, who has serpents, has a lot of stuff to do with serpents, works with Marika. Maybe if this is true, he's the one who provided this forgetfulness tonic substance to wipe out everyone's memories. Who knows? Anyways, I guess moving on to the like sort of theory crafting, I guess, on what incantations could appear, what incantations and spell could appear. I'm not gonna theorize on weapon because we kind of already know a lot about that. First of all, the charming types of incantations. Pink kind of represents like allure, charming in Elden Ring. The bewitching branch that Miquella uses to like win over the affection of others is pink. You can use it on mobs and hypnotize them to work for you. This is even used by the Vati actually said in his latest video that this could be actually originating from Marika, not Miquella. Maybe Marika passed this on to Miquella because she does approve of a lot of his actions, even his trip to the Land of Shadow. But whatever. This pink allure school of incantations is also used in the Nox Eternal Cities, which could support that this actually comes from Marika, not Miquella. The Nox people use it on the ants because the ants are wild and just attack fucking anybody. But they use these pink alluring spells to sort of like tame them, and you can actually see they have pink eyes. I discovered this from Zuli the Witch. And then we see this pink spell with like butterflies all around, being used in the trailer. So maybe this pink incantation, actually, I'm sorry if I said spell, I mean incantation. Maybe these new pink incantations can sort of be like sort of charming, like confusing the enemies, making them work for you type of stuff. I'm sure we're gonna see more of that in the DLC. There's also, I guess, seals. I've mentioned seals, which basically block off paths. What if you could use that as a spell? You like make a seal and then like you trap an enemy, or you like crush an enemy in a seal, sort of like Gojo box prison kind of thing. You know, that would be pretty cool. I'm just theory crafting. We're gonna get to actual real theories later on. This is just me throwing stuff, taking existing stuff from the game and sort of saying, what if this was a spell? There's also like the boulders that fall on you from Rhea Lucaria, from Celia. What if that's a spell? That would be fucking sick. I know from the beta test again that Preceptor Miriam's teleportation skill is going to be added. That's fucking cool. That's why I kind of want a theory craft on what more things in the base game can be turned into incantations in DLC. It'd also be cool if we can use magic similar to the ones used in the transporter trap chests that I guess teleport us around to. Maybe even place glintstone traps on the ground, like those little magic daggers that you step on in Carrier Manor, and then it releases a spell. Maybe even something like Morgoth's projection weapons, like we sort of have with Gavel of Haima. Those would be pretty cool. I think that's pretty much it. Oh, side tangent, I guess. Well, to close this off, projections could be a sort of incantation too, or spell. Next theory. There are different kinds of projections. This is pretty much a fact, but I just wanted to talk about this because there's been a lot of... I've seen on a couple Reddit posts that they're asking, like, why does Moog the Omen not get bled? But then Margit can get bled, even though they're both projections. That's honestly... The real explanation is that that's just a gaming oversight, but this is sort of a way to make it connected to the lore. This is some copium I'm coming up with. There's different types of projections. First of all, I guess the most convincing point is Godfrey's Shade that we fight on the way to the Erd Tree. It's very different. It is a projection, but it's very different from other projections. It's golden, it lacks Serosh, doesn't have Serosh, can't be bled, and stuff like that. And it obviously doesn't look like him. Like, you know from seeing it that it's a projection. But then there's more convincing ones, like Margit. Like, who the hell would have known if he was a projection or not? Like, who the hell would have expected that he was Morgoth and he was actually in Leyndell the whole time? That one can be bled. That one acts like it's a real person, I guess. There's also the other Margit projection, which looks like a commoner at first, but then turns into Margit. So projections can actually be whatever you want. Margit also uses projection colossal hammers and daggers and stuff. Throwable daggers. Do you think we can actually use his throwable daggers in the DLC? Anyways, there's different levels to them. So I guess that's the reason why some can be bled, some can't. I guess it depends on like the strength. Like if it's a weak incantation, it'll be like the golden things. That Loretta is a projection too. There's probably a lot more projections I'm forgetting, but it's not only faith-based, but int-based as well with Loretta, because it's blue. Hers is blue, the rest is... Margit's stuff is gold. So I guess it's based on the strength of it. So there are low-level ones like Loretta and Godfrey who are just gold and blue based on whether it's faith or int. Then there's ones that look more like the actual dude, like Moog the Omen, who pretty much acts exactly like Moog. But he can't be bled, he can't be status affected and stuff. And then I guess the strongest one would be something like Margit, who is literally just... He's literally just like Morgoth, but not. It's just a projection. So I guess there's different levels to it. That's basically the copium I've come up with on why the projections in-game are inconsistent. But yeah, what if that could be a usable incantation or spell in the DLC? I know we already have Mimic Tears and Tibia Summons, but I don't know how they'll do it, but just imagine. That would be pretty cool. Yeah, I think we're on to the real theories now. We've gone past all the most debunkable ones, at least. All of these are still debunkable. But now we're on to the good shit. Okay. Let's start off with the lighter ones and then move on to the more heavy hitting ones. I got a lot here. Don't read these, please. Don't pause to read those. These are all theories. We're gonna get past all of those. Trust me, believe me. Okay. First of all, different types of grace. This is both a fact and a theory. So it is a fact that there are at least two types of grace. We get the grace of Marika, which guides us to on our way to defeat the Elden Beast and start a new age. This comes from Marika herself. There's also the orange sort of grace-like thing we see in the Forbidden Lands, which through reading the item description of the Helfin Steeple, we know is related to the Helfin, which is like the lamp wood. People only see this grace if they've died in battle. So sort of like a Valhalla thing in Norse mythology. And it looks very similar to grace. So knowing that, having those two things in mind, I played the game sort of keeping my eye out for things that look like grace, that have that sort of texture animation. The first thing is that there is a similar animation texture thing that looks like grace when you use the Nihil, the Mog's Trident. I forgot the name. I'm sorry. I'm gonna show it on screen. It's that thing. When you cast that thing, there's sort of these things that spiral you. This like red and black sort of grace-like thing. It looks like grace that spirals you. What if this is a form of grace or a form of guidance coming from the Formless Mother or the Mother of Truth, which is the outer god of blood? The golden grace comes from Marika. The Helfin comes from like the lampwood. We don't know exactly if it comes from a sentient being or whatever, an outer god. Maybe it does, because I'm thinking for something to judge if you've died in battle or not, that thing would have to be living and not something just like automatic system, because that would be, you would need a living being to judge that, wouldn't you? So maybe there's an outer god involved there. I'm not sure. Anyways, I think that this red grace, which I want to call blood grace because it sounds cool, could be from the outer god. Now, what she's guiding you to do, I'm not sure, but it says in the item description that it says the Mother of Truth craves wounds. Like she wants you to draw blood from her. That's where all these blood flame incantations come from. Like you putting your arm in her and you stabbing her. So what if that guidance, so what if that blood grace is her telling you like, please stab me more? I kind of don't want to think of that too much, so we're gonna move on. But that's the theory. That's this theory. Another kind of grace, blood grace, from a very masochistic outer god. I don't want to see Rule 34 of that. They're probably gonna draw a waifu version of the Mother of Truth asking for more wounds. I don't want to imagine that. The other version of grace. So I'm not gonna get into these yet. We're gonna get into these later, but I just want to point this out now. The two I've noticed is there's a similar texture animation that looks like grace when you when you go to a way gate. Before you go into a way gate, there's sort of like a blue flowing line that looks very much like grace. And the last one, I don't know if it's a stretch, but it's spirit related. So like if you use Torrent, who is a spirit, to double jump, you do see this blue grace-like thing appear from him. We're gonna get into that later. I just wanted to point that out now. So this is done. Another kind of grace is done. Don't mind the others, please. Please, please, please. Artificial flame in torches and everjails. So there's a lot of flames in the game, as I mentioned earlier. Let's try to name them all right now. Just normal flame. Just fire that exists in the real world. Giant's flame, used by fire giants and the fell god related stuff. Fire monks, all that. Blood flame, which comes from the Mother of Truth. There's the Prince of Death's flame and the Omen's flame, the two gold-black flames I mentioned earlier. One is the vengeful spirit of those who died cursed, and one is flame originating from Godwyn, Deathblight and stuff. Next one is Sleep Flame, no official name, the purple one that puts dudes to sleep, very related to Saint Trina, the alter ego of Mikola. Taker's Flame, the sort of orange flame that comes from the weapon art of the Blasphemous Blade, kind of gives you lifesteal. There's Ghost Flame, which you get by like burning bodies of the deceased. It makes Ghost Flame. There's Destined Death Flame, the red one, which draws from the power of the Rune of Death and can kill gods. It's the one that Malekith wields. There's Black Flame, which is a flame that draws from the Rune of Death, but it was weakened when it got sealed by Marika. Glintstone Flame, that Smaragd breathes out. It's basically normal dragon fire breath, I guess influenced by the glintstone that the glintstone dragons eat. Golden Flame, ulcerated tree spirits use, that the Elden Beast uses as well. There's also a rotten version of that the Scarlet Rot ulcerated tree spirits use. I guess you can also use Beast Repellent. It's basically just normal flame with like incense that makes beasts go away. There's also, I guess, the Sentry one, which is normal flame again, but I don't know how, if it's an incantation or an incense, but it can see invisible things, like the Black Knife Assassins. Those are all from item descriptions, but there's this blue flame we see. It's in a few catacombs. It's most prominent in Nox places. You also see it when you touch an Everjail. I saw that from a Reddit post. It's just in a lot of intelligence-based things. And I don't think it actually has a specific name. It's not Glintstone Flame because it's kind of different in color. Glintstone Flame is kind of like a more light blue, and this artificial flame I'm talking about is like darker blue. I call it artificial flame. It has no official name, but that's what I give it. And I basically think that it's just that artificial flame that Nox have made, because the Nox make a bunch of artificial stuff. They made artificial life in the form of the silver tears. They made an artificial sky. They tried to make an artificial dragon and then failed. They're just known for making artificial stuff. So it's very fitting that the blue flame that theoretically originated from them could be called artificial flame, like created out of magic and stuff. Yeah. On the topic of flame, this one. I wanted to talk about this one. Rykard's Rancor. So first of all, again, I mentioned all of the flames. Rykard's Rancor is very unique because it's not like Taker's flame, right? It's got a skull, but it's also not a ghost flame. It's something in between of that. So my theory is, what happened is, because Rykard, the Lord of Blasphemy, who was eaten by the God-devouring serpent, is in the volcano, is in Mount Gelmir. Just full of magma, full of lava. I think what happens is, because remember, ghost flame is created from burning the remains of the deceased. I think Rykard's Rancor is basically, what if we burn those remains of the deceased with magma, or with Taker's flame? They're kind of similar. I'm just saying magma. These spirits manifest from the Rancor of heroes who met a violent end. So basically, kind of like Ghost Flame, or the Wraiths, the Curse Flame that the Omens have, the gold black one, which are also spirits. Within the Serpent's battle, they became the Lord's kin. So we know, like, if you're eaten by the serpent, you become one with it. So basically, my theory is Rykard kind of accidentally created his own kind of flame, being a ghost flame, but instead of burning corpses with like regular flame, turning into ghost flame, or just burning them with ghost flame, creating more ghost flame. I think he burns them in his like stomach with like magma, I guess, because he is sitting on top of a pool of lava the whole time. I think eating a bunch of fucking corpses and burning them in magma creates Rykard's Rancor, his own personal kind of flame, which is fucking cool. A fusion of magma and ghost flame. Really fucking cool and badass. Oh, we already talked about the different kinds of projections one. Accidentally. Get that out of there. Don't look. Stop looking, please. Jesus Christ, guys. Control your eyes. On the topic of serpents, I guess, let's do serpents are dragons. This is kind of a huge statement that I will try my best to explain. This theory stemmed from trying to make a reason why dragons are able to shapeshift into humans, because that is an ability that they have. Lansax took the form of a human and then like fell in love with Vike and stuff and gave him her lightning. We know that's their ability. I never actually found the reason why, but through looking for proof of that, I remembered, doesn't Raya turn into a human as well? And I don't think it's something like using Marika's Veil, because Marika's Veil doesn't turn you into a human, it turns you into an inanimate object. So why the hell can Raya, a serpent, turn into a human? Oh, it's not a mimic tier either. I don't think she has anything to do with Renala, other than Renala is kind of her grandmother. That's kind of a fact that blew my mind, even though it's pretty obvious. It's not a mimic tier either, because like you kind of die when you use that, like Bach did. Or they would make it very obvious if it was mimic, larval tier related, I'm sorry, or rebirth related. Bach talked about Renala and her ability to rebirth with the Amber Egg. If we don't tell him he's beautiful, we see him going there, transform himself into a human, and then die. Raya, on the other hand, we don't see any relation to her with Renala. So, shapeshifting into a human is the ability of a serpent, but why do serpents and dragons have that specifically? What if serpents are fucking dragons? What if they're just like an offshoot of them? I know this is a concept in other Souls games, but these are separate IPs, separate stories. But that could be a shared symbolism, I guess. I haven't played any of the Souls games or know their lore, unfortunately. Please don't kill me. This is my first Souls game. But yeah, what if they're reusing that thing that serpents are sort of related to dragons? The thing that strengthened this the most is that on Messmer, I thought that those wings come out of his armor. No, they come from the serpents on him. There's also the Temple of Igle in the Volcano Manor, which has statues that depict serpents with wings on them. So like, what the fuck? I don't know how. I'm not gonna pretend to know how, but I think that serpents are somehow related to dragons, and this power of shape-shifting from a serpent/dragon into a human is something that they both share. The shape-shifting into a human is something that carried on from the dragon to the serpent bloodline. I definitely think it's a descendant of ancient dragons and not like equal to them. I think it's like ancient dragons mated with humans make draconians, mated with beasts, maybe beast men, I don't know, one of those make mortal dragons, and then mated with whoever the fuck make serpents. That's what I think is going on. But yeah, whatever it could be, I think serpents are connected to dragons because of that one little fact. While we're on the topic of dragons, this is a juicy one that I came up with myself. Stormlord identity. I was so fucking just fascinated on who the hell the Stormlord even is. We know that they're the previous ruler of Stormveil, Castlemorn of Limgrave, until Godfrey took them down. We never actually see them. We see a Storm King, which is like a Warhawk, basically. We get it in Nefeli's questline, and we get it so that Nefeli can become the new Lord of Limgrave, but we never actually see this thing. So it's been pretty interesting on what this actually is, and I think I found the answer, and let me show it to you. The Banished Knight helms usually look like this, but when you get the unaltered version, the altered version, I mean, boom, there's this dragon. Now you obviously don't like really think of anything as soon as you see it, but then when you take a look at the other dragons, these mortal ones, take a look at how they look furred. They have these little things, they have this on their nose. Ancient dragons, on the other hand, look like this. They have gravelly skin, they have gold on them, they have these 6 fingers, actually, 1, 2, 3, and have 4 legs. This is a Dragon Lord. We only see one of these in the game, Placidusax, and then these little dragons we find in the ground that I know from Zuli the Witch, thank you, which look kind of like Placidusax but are not. They're probably like a breed similar to them, but look at all of them. They look nothing like this dragon on the Banished Knight. Do you notice anything different? I do immediately. There's fucking horns. They don't have these horns. And the wings look more feathery than they are furry. And look at the fucking feet. The talons. It's 3. Nothing else has 3 on here. So I think this is the Stormlord. Let me support that further with other things, I guess. Stormveil. The Banished Knights who use sort of like storm wind-based Ashes of War. The descriptions of like war hawks talking about like a storm. I think that this castle, this sort of faction, is descending from Farum Azula, which is the place of storms, like basically the heart of storms. Storms are going on there all the time. Dragons are there all the time. I think the Stormlord, whatever it may be, went down here and sort of passed on this culture to Limgrave and then made Stormveil like a faction of, I guess, humans living with dragons. I guess humans did live with dragons in Farum Azula. We do see human statues there, but I guess more human related, you know what I mean? There's also this thing. Credit to this guy, Salmon2325, because I was looking up on this topic and I instantly saw this picture. They have their own theory, which I won't really get into. This is the Hawk Crest Shield, which is a symbol that Stormveil uses of a hawk. Is similar to this. This is the sigil that you see being cast when you use storm-related, wind-related Ashes of War. They pointed out that they look very much alike, which I think is true. I think this sigil, I think, is a double meaning. We know double meanings can exist because the Scepter of Gideon Ofnir both represents the world, the heavens, and an eye. One thing can represent a bunch of things. I think this represents the hawk as like the symbol of this faction, but also the 3 talons we see on the Stormlord. I think all of these Ashes of War are drawing from the power of the Stormlord. The same way Dragon Communion incantations draw from the power of dragons, Wind Ashes of War draw from the power of this dragon, which is sort of like a bird dragon hybrid, I guess, which is why there's so much hawks in Stormveil, so much bird stuff. Maybe this is like a dragon bird hybrid or something. Holy fuck, I'm editing this right now, and if it's right that the Twinbird did belong in Farum Azula and was like the flood god of Placidusax, Twinbird and Placidusax is the Dragon Lord. Maybe the Stormlord is like their baby or something. I don't know, but if the Twinbird was at all in Farum Azula, I think that definitely increases the possibility of Stormlord being, in fact, a bird-dragon hybrid sort of thing. The horns, too, can signify that it's from the Crucible era, which if it's from before Marika, yeah, that makes sense. The Banished Knight armors themselves also have a horn on them, so possibly Crucible era. To add on to this theory, I guess, I believe that all Banished Knights, all of them, are from Stormveil. Just like the Crucible Knights, they scattered across different places when all these different events happened. But I think they all originate from here. It's confirmed that Godfrey did defeat the Stormlord and, took over, I guess. Well, he didn't take over Limgrave, but he did defeat the person ruling over there, which I assume is the reason why we see this Banished Knight armor in the fortified manor. In addition to Banished Knights, I'm talking about the Exiles too, because the Exiles always come with wherever the Banished Knights come from. Because in the fortified manor, we do see Banished Knight armor and Exile equipment. But anyways, Godfrey defeated the Stormlord. The Banished Knights and Exiles scattered across the place, which is why we see them everywhere. I guess a bunch of them, does it still count as defected if your previous leader was defeated? They worked for the Golden Order with Godfrey. That's why they're in the fortified manor. Some of them went to Castle Sol. Some of them, I guess, went back to Farum Azula. You do see some there. Some went to serve Godric when he took over Castle Stormveil. There's one I know that's in the Dragon Communion Temple, because they do use Dragon Communion incantations. They're just everywhere now. But yeah, I believe this is where they originate, Stormveil Castle. Because it's the only thing I can think of that makes sense, really. Additional thing too, I guess, we know that the hawk is their symbol. There's also the Fallen Hawk shield that we know is used by the Fallen Hawk faction. Here, they were a band of soldiers which were ordered to explore the Eternal City, or to look for Nokron. Their sigil is of a Fallen Hawk, a reversed hawk. So I believe that these, after the defeat of the Stormlord, I guess by Marika or by whoever, they were tasked to look for Nokron. Probably Marika. Sounds like a Marika thing to do. And in looking for Nokron, they became these zombie dudes by burning the remains of their friends. It's also very similar to, this is completely unrelated, it's similar to the tale of the Wendigo. The Wendigo is like if you're in a forest which has a Wendigo spirit. This is what I understand from it. Like when you cannibalize someone, beat any reason at all, if you're just fucking crazy or if you're actually genuinely hungry and trying to survive. If you're in that forest with like a Wendigo spirit and you do that, you become a Wendigo. There are many differences, but just with you burning the remains of your comrades, making ghost flame and turning into a zombie, there's just something very similar about that. Like, don't do anything to your buddies' corpses. Just leave them alone. I guess that's the lesson to learn there. But yeah, I think this is who the Stormlord is. That's just some additional theories I have on Stormveil. Oh, also, to support this, there's like a hierarchy, right? Let's take one example. There's the outer god, which is the greater will, and they appoint a god, which is Marika, right? And then by that god, you need to have a lord, which is Godfrey, and under the lord is a king, which is Morgoth. With this now, we have the Stormlord, right? What's the one thing we need to finally cement Nefeli as the Lord of Limgrave? The Stormhawk King. So to become a lord, you need a king under you. So that's kind of why I don't think the Stormhawk King is the same as the Stormlord. But yeah, Stormhawk King being a bird, it makes sense that the Stormlord is like a bird dragon thing that rules over it. And that really fits the hierarchy system. Although, I guess the only thing to debunk that is in the item description of Morgoth's rune, it also considers him as a lord, but also a king at the same time. I don't really know how that works, but that might just debunk everything, but whatever. I think this is the Stormlord. And we might actually see this in the Land of Shadow, in the Veiled Land. Because it is defeated by Godfrey, but it's never stated that it was killed by Godfrey. Just defeated. So maybe it defeated and it fled to Land of Shadow. Maybe it ended up there somehow. I don't know. But yeah, there's that. I guess this one, pretty simple one. I'm not really too sure on it. One of Quailag's videos, she said that, I forget what exact video and what exactly she said, but there was a point where she said that Rykard could somehow be connected to the Blood Star, and that actually got me thinking. In Vate's video where he talked about the lore of blood, he talked about the servants of blood being sort of indirect servants of it. Like, they don't actively choose to serve it. They just do fuck shit and then ended up being contacted by the Lord of Blood somehow. Like, Moog got in because of his accursed blood, from what I understand. Maybe Morgoth even got part of this too. And then Vare is a war surgeon who are basically euthanizers, mercy killers, which I'm assuming is the reason they got to the blood god. Esgar is another one too. I don't know how he sought the Mother of Truth, but he does have like bleed dogs, so maybe he used them to cause bleed to others and then found the Mother of Truth that way. There's also the... Oh, I should preface actually that I believe the Blood Star is the same as the Mother of Truth, Lord of Blood, even though they are very different. We'll get into that later, but I think they are the same. I was gonna say too, the Thorn Sorcerers found the Blood Star by getting their eyes gouged out as a punishment, and were able to find blood sorceries from that. So it's just a bunch of voluntary ways to become involved with the Blood God. So yeah, Quailag said that Rykard might be connected, and I looked into it more. The Taker's cameo is actually splattered with blood. Also, this is very side thing. Do you see these fucking designs? This has been boggling my mind for a while. Is that a Trina or Mikola Lily? If it is, I don't know what that means. Mikola helped Rykard? Does that fit in the time? Oh, yeah, that doesn't fit in the timeline. At the Shattering War, Mikola and Melina would have been born, and Rykard would have just fed himself to the Serpent. Maybe Mikola helped him, or Saint Trina helped him somehow. Don't know. Anyways, there's a bunch of blood splattered on the Taker's cameo, which is Rykard's talisman. Sort of every instance of like lifesteal. This is just a gameplay reason for sure, but the Taker's cameo shows up as an icon representing lifesteal. You see this when you use the Great Stars too, which seems to be related to the Blood Star as well. Get into that later. Oh, also actually the Serpent's Curved Sword also uses this. Offer up sacrifices, restores HP upon slaying an enemy, also uses this symbol. I should say it's not actually lifesteal, it's like life on kill, more accurately. But yeah, every life on kill thing uses this. Something Bloodstar related being the Great Stars, and things Volcano Manor related being the Serpent stuff and this Taker's cameo, all using the Taker's cameo icon. Although again, being a gameplay reason, it sort of tells me that they're sort of drawing from a similar power, which if this thing is bloodstained, probably it's the Mother of Truth / Formless Mother / Bloodstar. It just seems overall, because of the bloodstained Taker's cameo and the bunch of fucking corpses in the arena, just the amount of blood spilled by Rykard. I think Rykard is an indirect servant to her. And also, I guess, mini theory on what this means. The Taker's cameo itself, we can see hands grasping at a skeleton and serpents eating like a chandelier. I just think this means that Rykard is both using the power of serpents, which rule over Volcano Manor, and the power of ghosts of corpses, like the many corpses he consumes and that he turns into Rykard's Rancor. I just think that's basically all this means. Corpses of men and serpents is where he draws his power from. But yeah, that's that one. I added this one off screen. Pretty quick thing. Daedicar is Raya's mom. First of all, I think this because it's Daedicar's woe is dropped by Raya. And it seems like there has to be a connection there that Raya wouldn't just have this randomly, because there's literally no other mention of Daedicar aside from here. Daedicar's woe said this woman named Daedicar indulged in every form of adultery and wicked pleasure imaginable, giving birth to a myriad of grotesque children. So I think this is the mother of Raya. She and Rykard made Raya. And I think she is where the Serpent's Amnion comes from, which is an Amnion from the mother's womb which cradled the poor unwanted offspring of a repellent birthing ritual. Grotesque children, repellent birthing ritual. Sounds like similar to me. I think this theoretically is the mother of all the Man-Serpents. Her and Rykard made all of the Man-Serpents, including Raya, who is also a Man-Serpent. Another thing to strengthen that theory is I think that the abductor virgins actually represent Raya. Because it's of a woman, I guess it would be a counterpoint to why call this a virgin if she indulged in every form of adultery, wicked pleasure imaginable. Maybe she did that after being with Rykard. I don't fucking know. What makes me think that this represents Raya is, first of all, it's a woman and it's cradling a child. This could represent Raya herself, her own daughter, or Man-Serpents as a whole. Also, do these things kind of look like scales? I don't know. That's just a random thought. These also use Giza's wheels as weapons, which Giza is a member of the Volcano Manor related to serpents. And the thing that makes me believe this the most is the lower body of this metal woman it's depicting houses snakes. Snakes are actually what grabs you and like chews you within this thing. I was confused what they were at first, like arms or what kind of creature this is. Those are snakes. And if there's a statue holding a humanoid baby, which could be Raya, and in her womb area there's snakes, that sounds kind of like Daedicar to me, or it could be Daedicar. And with this thing crying, that would match the giving birth to grotesque children and repellent birthing. But yeah, that's basically all I got. And why she's flayed? Literally no clue. I don't think that's done by Rykard or anyone, because that's not what they do. She's not a god either, I don't think. So why would godskins flay her? Maybe she walked into the Minula Windmill Village at the wrong time and they skinned people and then they skinned her and then she died. Maybe she was like, let me join in, and then they just skinned her alive. I don't know, maybe it could be the case, but yeah, that's all I got with that one. Something on Mount Gelmir. We find the Scavenger's curved sword there. It's my favorite weapon, the most broken weapon when there's two of them, I believe. The bleed on that thing is fucking crazy. That shit carried me so much to so much new game cycles. In its description, it's a unique curved sword. So I compare this to like every weapon in the game because I have every weapon. Nothing else looks like this. Carried by corpse pillagers, they just pillage this of corpses, obviously. And it's all ruined and shit. But the thing to take away from that is that it is unique. There's only one of it. And when you actually look at this thing, I don't know if it's a good shot. It's depicting a woman carrying a baby. And I was so confused as to what that is. But now that the DLC trailers are out, you think that could be Marika and Messmer? Because behind Messmer there was a statue of Marika cradling a baby, which could be Messmer. You think this could be that? There's also this... I don't know if you can see. No, you can't see. I'll just put up gameplay footage of it. There's a crisscross pattern. I don't know if I'm stretching. It could be Radagon's emblem on it. That emblem was actually used to like signify with the preceptors, if you remember, to like shut the fuck up, this is a secret. What if this is like something like that as well, where it's like the crisscross seal on the sword, which is like, keep this shit a secret, keep it a secret that Messmer is alive and is in the land of shadow, and it would be bestowed upon like knights that are aware of the land of shadow, maybe even black knights that somehow made it into lands between. Because it does depict a woman carrying a child. I don't think there's anything else like that really that looks like that. And it's unique. You don't find any other sword like that in the game. Imagine we see this in the fucking land of shadow as reverse grip swords or something like that. Maybe just even curved swords in general. Imagine if we see the real origin of this and get the full lore on it. That would be cool. This could be a possible weapon in the DLC. Undamaged version of this, so look out for that. But yeah, could be a Messmer thing, because you do find this on the way to... You do find this in Mount Gelmir, where there is a lot of corpses of Golden Order faction corpses there, a bunch of knights. So what if a part of those knights was a knight that knew of Land of Shadow and then just got wrecked, and his sword got wrecked too, unfortunately. But hey, I got a good bleed sword. I'm not complaining. A culture of wearing bugs on head. So this is just a thing I noticed. There's the cemetery shades in game, which are mobs. These guys right here, which we don't really know much of, but we do know that there are these bugs on top of their heads, and that they're being sort of piloted by the bugs. Here, insect-ridden. They are insect-ridden gravekeepers. And then I was like, that's fucking weird. There's nothing really like that in the game. Just kidding, there is something like that in the game. The fucking scarab helmets. These things aren't alive and are depicting the scarabs, the kind of like dung beetles that roll the poop, and you kill them and you get loot. And they actually are colored depending on the poop that the loot that they rolled. Like if it's gold, you'll get an incantation. If it's silver, you'll get an ash of war, or stuff like that. And actually, interesting thing, wherever you see these things could be where they got the thing they're holding. Because I say that because Tops, the scarab you get Tops' incantation from is where he once was, like the church where he sat in. That's not where he died, but it's where he once was. So maybe he dropped like a spell page there, or just his essence was there and this scarab rolled it up. But it appears to be they like linger, I guess, wherever they got their loot from, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense. But if true, that could, I guess, help in some lore diving. Just like see how the things they drop match with the lore world around them. Anyways, you wearing a bug on your head. This is dead, but it's still you wearing a bug on your head. And then we have enemies wearing bugs on their heads, which you actually look at it. These things have 2 antennas. These things have large antennas. Or are those wings? Those are either wings or antennas, whatever. They have 6 legs. 6 little legs. And these have 6 little legs as well. So I think it's a scarab. I think these are both scarabs. And credit to Zeostorm for pointing this out. He got this theory from someone else. But he said that the mantis blade appears to be made out of chitin, whatever. And it could actually be from this creature on its head. And I did look up in real life. We're getting into real life here now. There is a breed of scarabs that do have chitin. These little dudes, they look nothing alike, but the point is that there are scarabs that use chitin. And if these are chitin, they come from scarab. And if this is scarab, this is also scarab. There's a culture of wearing scarabs on your head. And maybe this was lost because this came from the Land of Shadow, which is now veiled. So now only remnants of it remain in the lands between. So who knows? We could actually see dudes wearing bugs on their heads in the Land of Shadow. Bonus theory too, I guess. On the item descriptions for all of these scarab helmets, it says, as a scarab approaches death, it abandons its rolled treasure and stretches its wings wide for its long journey to its home nest. We don't actually, I don't think we ever see a home nest in the game. So maybe we'll find out what these nests look like in the Land of Shadow. Maybe these scarabs, their origins are in the Land of Shadow. Maybe it's not even a thing where they have their own personal home nests. What if it's just like a huge... What if their home nest is like a huge area we get to explore, like a Helix tree type thing? Except it's just like a big-ass scarab nest. That would be pretty cool. Move on to another simple one. Deathblight is affecting the Deathbirds. That statement is actually a fact, but the theory is on how. So, Deathbirds, we all know, are these birds that serve the Twinbird, and their whole thing is death. They burn the corpses in ghost flame, and that's sort of a thing they do. I don't know if they resemble vultures, probably not, but I think their role in the nature of the lands between is something like vultures in real life. So something that's in real life, you don't need a vulture or ants. What do you call it? Decomposers. I'm gonna call it decomposers. I don't know if that's the right term, but you have ants, you have vultures, bugs, and all that crap to help decompose this thing, which is cool, and it probably helps the ecosystem and shit to avoid rot and all that stuff. But you don't really need it. So I think that's the Deathbirds are to the lands between. You don't need Deathbirds to like maintain the cycle of death, but I think they help the cycle of death. You know what I mean? Anyways, they burn the dead in ghost flame, keepers of the ghost flame. But why do they have an attack where when they scream, they cause Deathblight buildup? That's kind of weird. So my two theories is, firstly, a little more simple one, the corpses they burn, because Deathroot is spread a lot around the lands between by Godwin's corpse. A simple thing is that a few of the corpses they burn carry Deathblight, and then Deathblight sort of got infected by them, which is why they carry a little bit of it. Or, a little wilder one, Deathblight affects the concept of death itself. So like if Deathbirds are supposed to be, you know, they sort of like represent death and stuff like that, they're connected to the concept of death the way that the Godskins were connected to the rune of death. If that's the case, maybe Deathblight being sort of like infecting corpses, making them they who live in death, just like spreading its blight around, possibly affects the concept of death itself, and therefore these Deathbirds who now have Deathblight in their screams. I don't know, but they're definitely affected by it. That's a fact, for sure. On the Deathbirds, I guess, there's something we don't know about becoming Spirit Ashes. We don't know how you become a Spirit Ash yet. A theory could be you get burned by Deathbirds, by Ghost Flame, to become ashes, because ashes come from burning. It doesn't seem to be that simple, because you talk to Leda. You talk to her in her physical form, and then when she's like, okay, I'm ready to go with you, she just fucking turns into Spirit Ashes. Funniest thing I've ever seen. And there's one boss in the Everjail where if you kill him, he drops his own Spirit Ashes. How the fuck? But then there's also just normal Spirit Ashes just sitting in catacombs or wherever the hell, which kind of makes sense, like these dudes were carrying the remains of these people. Oh, also, there are people who are buried, like through Erdtree burial, but we have their spirit ashes. So is it a case like you take a piece of their body and burn it and they become a spirit and can't go through the Erd Tree cycle anymore? I don't know. Could be that, yeah, spirit ashes really come from burning the dead, either with normal flame, ghost flame, I don't know. But they do come from burning the dead. So let's take a look at these two examples and why they're like that. That these can be completely oversights by the developers. I'm not going to rule that out, but I'm going to make my own copium around it. So for Latenna, it could be that she was already a spirit ash then when you talk to her, and it's just a projection you're talking to, which is comforting Lobo, who's dying, her wolf. And now for the Fire Monk, this is a little bit like, we're getting a little bit too deep here. In the 1.0 version, subscribe to this guy, by the way. In the 1.0 version, I learned of all of this from Berto Please, who is a wonderful creator. He did this whole fucking 3-hour, 40-minute video of the differences from 1.0 to the current version, and you bet your ass I watched all of it. There is... Okay, forgive me. It wasn't Fire Monk. It was a Battle Mage. Battle Mage Ood. He's only named Battle Mage Ood in 1.0. And then his Spirit Ashes drop Battle Mage Hughes. So it's like, okay, that makes sense. He's carrying his like little friend around. But in the base game, he's called Battle Mage Hughes and drops Battle Mage Hughes. So does he drop himself? I guess sort of copium workaround we can do so that we can still say all Spirit Ashes come from burning. A form of burning. We still don't know. I still don't claim to know. Maybe his name, this dude's name, is really Battle Mage Ood, but he's carrying on the name of Battle Mage Hughes, who he has the Spirit Ashes to. He's carrying on the name of his friend, probably, which is very sad, but actually a very cool mini story. That's probably not real, and it's probably developed only because of an oversight of the makers, but whatever, that's gonna be my headcanon, because I really just don't want to think about how Spirit Ashes are made. I just want to assume that they come from burning them somehow or part of them. But yeah, we could find out in the DLC how they're actually made, or not. But yeah, I just wanted to throw those couple things out there. We're just getting rid of these small ones before we go down to the big ones. Don't stop reading. I said stop reading. Double Helix's meaning. This is very simple and very, just no proof, just really me talking. There's a bunch of double helix symbols we see in Elden Ring, just across everywhere, really. From Serpent stuff to the Elden Ring itself, spells, you know, just different symbols on armor. It's a whole thing. And I don't think, personally, because these factions are just so varied and different, I don't think they come from a single faction, or like it's a case of it's made by a single guy. I don't think it's that. I think the double helix simply means that thing is part of a duality. So say the Elden Ring has like a double helix, the Serpent hates the Elden Ring, they're fighting against each other, so that has a double helix too. They're in a duality, you know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say? Then there's the Sacred Relic Sword, which has a helix, which is Radagon Marika. There's the Black Flame Sword, the Sword of the Gloam-Eyed Queen, which is also a double helix, which tries to kill gods like Marika Radagon, so another duality. There's also, again, the double helix of, I guess, let's say the Elden Stars. And then there's also the double helix of, like, the Comet Spiral Faith, Intelligence, another duality. I just think that's what it means, that it's part of a duality. So if you see the double helix symbol somewhere, try to think of the counter to it, because there usually always is one. At least that's what I found. I could be wrong. This could all be bullshit, but that's just my headcanon on it, so I can sleep at night. I'm really not 100% sure on what those mean. We're just really ruling out the simpler ones to get to the big juicy ones. Don't take a peek, but if you have taken a peek, I'm getting there. Just you wait. Tectonic shift. This is pretty much a fact I just wanted to point out. I was just so confused that the heart of Aeonia, that big fucking hellscape in Caelid with the Scarlet Rot Lake and Commander Niall or O'Neill, one of them. That apparently is where Melina casted Scarlet Aeonia on Radahn, plaguing the entirety of Caelid. But if you look at the trailer and look at the actual game, because the trailer is supposed to be, what they showed there is supposed to be canon. Like, that's what actually happened in the Shattering War, in the Battle of Aeonia. If you look at that and match it with the game, it doesn't add up, really. There's a mountain, like, literally right next to where Melina and Radahn were supposedly fighting, but if you look at the trailer, it's not there. So it could just be an oversight. Trailer doesn't really match up to the game. Could be that. But I think there's a little truer explanation, albeit longer one. Sekiro Dubi, who is a well-known like hacker in the community, he like takes a look at the files of the Souls games. He found out a system called Cataclysms in Elden Ring, which are basically like you activate. I'm doing heavy summarizing here. You activate a thing at different points. You activate multiple things at different points of the game, and what they do is alter the landscape somehow, like tectonic shifting and the whatever natural events that changes the land, which explains why there's fucking tombstones all over like the sides of mountains. It's because of that cataclysm feature. It's cut now. It's not going to be added, maybe in the DLC, but that's why it's like that. Or theoretically, that's why it's like that. So maybe that's why there's a fucking mountain now where it was flat in the Battle of Aeonia because of cataclysms. Yes, are a cut feature now, but judging as how the land is fucking different now, I'm assuming that's just how it is. That it's still real in lore, at least, you know? Oh, here's one that I forgot to add, actually. All game features are Marika's guidance. This is fucking... Yeah, I don't even know anymore. Just Souls games in general try to tie in their gameplay to the lore. Like there's a reason we rebirth, there's a reason why enemies rebirth, because death is not a thing in the lands between until we restore it. There's a reason why, you know, why we are chosen with all these powers. It's because we're Marika's like sort of chosen, tarnished. We're the ones bestowed upon the guidance of her grace. And the reason why we have multiplayer is because there's literally other worlds that we can travel to, which is pretty fucking cool, by the way, that there's a literal multiverse in canon in all Souls games, but that it's not really a big deal. I like that. I really like that, because I'm a huge Marvel fan. I love the multiverse stuff, but sometimes, yes, it can get a bit tiring. So I like that the Souls games kind of have a perfect balance to it. So yes, there are these infinite other worlds that are just like yours, but at the end of the day, your focus is only your world. Sure, you can help others can help you, but at the end of the day, your main focus is just your world, which is kind of poetic too. Which probably could be intentional, being that cooperators are actually... Miyazaki added, he said this in an interview, I don't know the exact story, but what I remember it to be is that his car broke down once, and just random strangers came up and then just helped him, and then they went on with their lives and never helped again. And that's kind of what cooperators are like. That's what inspired him to make like the multiplayer feature, from what I remember. So that actually could be intentional. Anyways, long ass fucking tangent. Sorry. But I think all game... but I think a copium... It's probably not true, but just a copium to tie in all of the lore together. All game features are Marika's guidance. I first thought of this because why the fuck is there glowing randomly when you stagger someone? Where the hell does that come from? What? Because it wasn't something like the health bar or like the focus icon or your HUD, where it's very much so disconnected from the game. The glowing when you stagger someone is like on the enemy. It's like right there. It's like glowing. So it looks like it's in the world. So I was like, wait, this is a game feature, but it seems like it's part of the world somehow. Is it? Is it? So I just thought, what if it's Marika's guidance? So like, she's like telling you, hey, you staggered that bitch. Hit him over here where it hurts. And then while we're at it, why not have all of the features be Marika's guidance? Like, hey, here's your health, by the way. Hey, I'm going to tell you a little bit of lore about these items, which is how you can just randomly tell what an item does from just obtaining it, right? Doesn't that make sense? And also, a cool thing too is, sure, there may be a little bit of hints to the Land of Shadow, like a little bit of the item descriptions I mentioned earlier. But I think if Marika is this narrator of the item descriptions, it could be a cool thing where we have no idea about the Land of Shadow. We had no idea this could even be a thing until the DLC trailer, because she omitted information from that in the item descriptions. Because it's not yet time, I guess. She still guides us. There's still the guidance of grace in the Land of Shadow, and she did sanction Mikola's travel there, but maybe she's omitting information for now because it's not yet time. We need to know when we get there type beat. I don't know. I just think it's like that. Also, just, you know, how we store items and shit. I think we store it in the grace. That's how it's made possible. It's how the enemies respawn too, I guess. All the game features, I think, just in my head canon are Marika's guidance. It's just cool to think of, you know. But yeah, on the topic of Marika, Marika made the jars. I think this is a very large claim to make without much proof. But the only proof I can make, I guess, is the warrior jars have these braids on them, which I'm pretty sure is not a double helix, but it's a braid, because braids are made with 3 lines. Double helixes are 2. This looks like 3. You see here? Yes, Mikola has braids, but if there's jars in the Land of Shadow, which I'm pretty sure predates Mikola, they could just be placed there after the fact, but I don't know. I'm more inclined to think this is Marika made. And why? The warrior jars, as we know, collect the corpses of dead... Obviously, they're fucking dead. They're corpses of people. And through environmental storytelling, we see that there's a bunch of jars next to the trees, minor Erd trees. They sort of act as fertilizer. So they gather the corpses in themselves, sit at the base of minor Erd trees, and act as fertilizer for it to nourish and grow. There's also a couple of these things in like catacombs, which makes sense because Erd tree burials happen and there's a bunch of corpses in these catacombs which are being fed into the Erd tree. If it's true, this is a tangent theory now. As soon as I saw the story trailer for the DLC, when I saw this fucking thing, I instantly thought that this is Marika making the Erd tree from a mountain of corpses. And that it's something very similar to Ganishka in Berserk, where it's not exactly the same, but let me explain. Ganishka, for all those unfamiliar, Ganishka is a dude who basically, he has this pot full of bodies, just like a bunch of bodies tangled together. He put himself in it and he became this massive monster, massive tree-like monster. And when he was killed, he became the World Spiral Tree, a divine tree very similar to Yggdrasil and the Erd Tree. And now in this trailer, if it could be anything, it could be other things, there's a bunch of theories on this, but it could be that this mountain of corpses is what Marika used to make the Erd Tree, because Miyazaki did say, I guess in an interview, that we would find out more about Marika and about how the Golden Tree was made in the DLC, so maybe this is how it was made. Literally from the corpses of her enemies, she made this divine tree. Very similar to Berserk, another Berserk reference, which would fit very much so in Elden Ring. But I say all of this because that, I guess, would support Marika being the creator of these jars. She's the one who knows that the trees feed off of corpses, that they need corpses to be nourished. I know it's like that in real life, but you know what I mean for this one? You get me, right? You get me? The tree is made out of dead bodies. It feeds off of corpses, so it would be natural that Potts, whose job is to bring corpses to trees, who has a braid design too, is probably made by Marika, who has the braid too. And the tree stuff, yeah, whatever, yeah. Okay, we'll get into this now. While we're on Marika, let's get into this juicy one. Melina is Marika. So, I know, we all know Tim Diggity made that banger video that Melina is Mikola. It could be the case. that was genuinely a good video. I love crackpot theories like that. I think more crackpot theories of that should be made. It's actually one of the inspirations for this video. Like, maybe if he made this crackpot theory video and a lot of people liked it, maybe they'll like mine too. So thank you for that, Tim Diggity. And I genuinely think it's a possibility. Really. I'm definitely keeping my eye out for Melina is Mikela connections in the DLC. But personally, I think Melina is Marika. And let me tell you why. I'm not gonna have a whole video dedicated to that. This is all you're gonna get, unfortunately, but okay. I think Melina is Marika because, first of all, when we talked to her in the Grace about Buck, she's like, oh, does Buck act like this? Because, like, is this what it's like to be born of a mother? So she doesn't know what it's like to be born of a mother. Okay, weird. Also, she's born at the foot of the Erd Tree. Okay. Weird also. I'm pretty sure not a lot of people are born at the foot of the Erd Tree. She has the moveset of the Black Knife Assassins, who are Numen. But Melina can't be Numen if she's born at the foot of the Erd Tree, right? Or maybe she was just raised by them, trained with them. I don't think that's the case, because there doesn't seem to be anything linking them together other than the moveset, and they have similar knives, I guess. Take a look at what she's wearing. The Traveler's set. The only other people we know wear this set is Millicent and her sisters, which, if we take a sidestep first and talk about that lore, Millicent and her sisters are basically offshoots of Melania. They call her mother, but they're actually kind of like the same being, just fragmented, I guess. They basically budded from the Scarlet Aeonia flower that was Melania. There's actually cut dialogue that supports this, where, like, if you do Millicent's questline, this is all cut content. If you do Millicent's questline, Melania is like talking to you, but referring to herself as if you knew her the whole time, but you knew Millicent. So hey, is Millicent Melania actually? Written that from Zuli the Witch. So yeah, although it's not 100% confirmed, it could be debunked, I guess. I'm pretty certain that Millicent and her sisters are offshoots of Melania. And they refer to her as Mother, and they wear the Traveler's set. Sounds very much so familiar to Melina, who wears the Traveler's set, and refers to Marika as her mother, who she is possibly the offshoot of. Also, Marika is Radagon, Marika has white hair, Radagon has red hair. Put them together, you get pink, like Melina. I think Melina is just an offshoot of Marika, the same way Millicent and her sisters are to Melania. Now, how the hell is that possible? I'm not so sure. My theory is, I have no 100% answer on how, but what I think, I don't know if this adds up to the timeline. Definitely reevaluate this for me. But my theory is, in the shattering, right, when Marika shattered the Elden Ring, these golden seeds flew out of the Erd Tree as like a failsafe to like sort of replicate the Erd Tree, although that never really took off. That never really became successful. So what if, like, the golden seeds to the Erd Tree, Melina separated from Marika as like an offshoot, not another personality like Radagon, but an offshoot of Marika when she shattered the Elden Ring. That's why she was born at the foot of the Erd Tree and given purpose by her mother there. So maybe it was like, it was shattered, and then she was like, hey, this is who you are, this is your purpose. And then, like the golden seeds, the reason why she ends up in Limgrave and asks you to take her back to the Erd Tree is because maybe, like the golden seeds, she flew all the way, like, she flew all the way to Limgrave, which is where she found you. That also could support that Marika is the former master of Torrent, because she is like a spirit caller, right? She could have given Torrent's ring to Melina as she was created. And then it is theorized that she did conspire with Ranni to do the Knight of Black Knives, so Ranni would know about Torrent's former master too. That would make a lot of sense. Also, spoken echoes of Marika, I don't think that's a concept outside of Melina. There's no other character you can't you yourself also can't hear spoken echoes, quote unquote, of other people. Only Melina is able to do this. Probably because spoken echoes aren't a thing, but these are like distant memories of Marika. And that's also the reason why she knows the Black Knife moveset, because Marika is said to have been from... She's Numen, just like the Black Knife assassins are. So maybe if she really did conspire with Rani and the Knight of Black Knives, and they are Numen, and they do know each other, maybe even trained together, maybe that's where Melina got her moveset from, just distant memories of Marika working with the Black Knife assassins. So yeah, that's basically all I've got about that theory. I think it's pretty convincing. I think I'm definitely believing this first, but I think Tim Diggity's also, like, his theory is also believable. So I'm thinking Melina is Marika first, and then if not that, Melina is probably Mikela. If not that, Melina is Messmer. If not that, I don't know. But that's where I'm at with that. I hope you were able to get something from that. Now another one. Let's move on to a simpler one before we head into the complex ones. So runes are stored in the head. This is very simple now. I just got this thought when I'm riding on Torrent, and there's always these skulls on the ground which glow in their eyes. You crack them open, you get a golden rune. I didn't really think of it at first, but when I thought about it, I was like, are runes stored in the head? And then actually at nighttime, if you notice, well, this can happen at any time of day, but it's more prominent at nighttime. There's a lot of enemies that have glowing eyes, which if you kill them, they drop extra runes. So like the large number of runes are kind of like seeping out through their eyes. It's kind of a cool thing. Also, Bloodborne. I haven't played the game. I don't know too much about its lore again, but I know that there are eyes. And when you store them in your head, when you put eyeballs in your head, it does something, whatever. The point is there's eyeballs stored in the head concept. The runes, the golden runes, the more that they go up in level, they start to look more like eyes. And actually, if you line them up with like eyes of characters in game, they look pretty much similar. So the runes being a sort of eye-shaped thing and being stored in your head, being similar to Bloodborne, maybe that's intentional. But yeah, runes stored in the head, P stored in the balls. And while we're talking about runes, the Elden Beast domain with a bunch of Erd trees everywhere is actually a multiverse sort of channel thing. So if we've all beaten the game, we've all got into the Elden Beast's domain bars, we see a bunch of Erd trees there, and it's theorized on what that is. Again, no solid answer. It could be different worlds, different planets, or just that's just what the domain looks like. I think it's sort of like a multiverse channel, sort of like an in-between dimension between universes, where each Erd tree is a different lands between type beat. That's what I thought for the longest time, but then just recently I've been able to think of some crackpot explanation. The multiplayer system. Let's get into that. You can use passwords, which could actually be different ciphers of the two fingers, now that I'm thinking of it. You use passwords to join groups or join other Tarnished from different universes. And when they accomplish something, such as defeat a Shardbearer, become Elden Lord, you get bonus runes, sort of effect. We know runes are Elden Ring Golden Will Erd Tree feature. So how the hell does like a rune effect from another world go to you, lore-wise? I know it's a gameplay feature, just let me cook. What if you use the cipher to connect to other universes? This dude becomes Elden Lord, and a rune effect gets passed to its Erd Tree into its Elden Beast pocket dimension, where it travels to your Erd Tree and then to you and gives you the effect. So it's kind of like an in-between world kind of thing. Multiverse channel is what I've called it. What if on the Elden Beast, I'm killing it with these transitions here, kinda. Sacred Relic Sword item description, which tripped me out. This tripped me out a lot. So we get this at the end of the game. This is the most recent weapon to have existed. Thoughts on what the weapon portends are many and varied. Some consider it the mark of a great sin or a sign of great devastation. Some think of it as the end of an age, while others the beginning. How the fuck do people think of this yet when only me and the people in Round Table Hold have seen this? I just got this weapon. How is there opinions on it already? Has this appeared before? Has Radagon Marika been used as a sword before? But there wasn't any great sin or devastation there. We made the first cardinal sin, right? Unless it's a case of the Erdtree was burned before. I know that's a theory, but I don't know. It's never really been confirmed. How the fuck do they know? The only thing I could ever come up with is that there is a prophecy in Elden Ring. There's a prophecy system, concept rather. There are prophets which, not actual prophets. Here, they have seen prophecies. They have told misfortune. They have here you go. The prophet despaired, looking up at the Erdtree, for soon the kindling would burst into flame. So there is some form of sightseeing, some future seeing, in this world. There's also the thing of the precipice of anticipation. Why is it called anticipation? Well, that's where you first end up in the lands between. So is it anticipating you, the chosen one, who's gonna burn the Erdtree? Maybe. There's also fate. Fate being in the stars. So that's probably the explanation for this. The Sacred Relic Sword was seen by some, was seen in the foresight of some. Who the fuck are those some? I don't know. It could be talking about Round Table Hold, the some, but we only have Hugh and Roderica. You only have Hugh and Roderica there, so I don't know if they're the some that this is talking about. So could it have been seen in some foresight? The end of an age while others the beginning. That's literally describing the ending. Some people have seen the ending. Could this be the Albinuric speaking in the intro and the outro? We don't actually know it's an Albinuric, but that's what it's the voice is credited to in the credits. That it's an old Albinuric, I think. Could it be them? I don't know. But there's some foresight in Elden Ring. There is a foresight. Which leads me to the next thing. Marika is EREN, Anakin, Paul. EREN Yeager, Anakin Skywalker, Paul Atreides. Bro, what if? Because aren't they so fucking similar? I'm not gonna... okay, spoiler for Attack on Titan, Star Wars, Dune. But the gist of these three is they're dudes, heroic dudes at first, who have the power to see the future, and because of that, it corrupts them and turns them into evil. The side of evil. It's debated if you want to call these guys heroes or villains, but they do evil acts. Like sort of chosen one main character type dudes who have the force, who have the ability to see in the future. It corrupts them and leads them to do evil deeds. That sounds like Marika. Because Marika, if you look at her plan, if her plan really is to help you take down the Greater Will, holy shit did she do so much fucking steps to get there. Where you like even question, is she with the Greater Will or not? Because she took down so much people against the Greater Will. She's fighting she is fighting for the Greater Will, for the Greater Will to spread, for her faction to spread to other people. And then just when you think you know what she's doing, she fucking shatters the Elden Ring. Plot twist, she wants to take the Greater Will down. So what if she is part of that some people? She had foresight, so she knew exactly what to do. She's from an eternal city, we know from the lore, and actually mini theory. There's this place in the DLC which definitely looks like Eternal City related. We know Marika comes from an Eternal City, and if the Land of Shadow is where she once stepped foot, what if there's an Eternal City in the Land of Shadow that we haven't seen yet? And this could be it. There's glintstones here too, and flame, blue flame and everything. Ghost flame or artificial flame, one of them. This is also, as pointed out by many. It appears to be the figure seen on the Carrion inverted statue. So, very Carrion Nox related. Carrions are related to Nox in some way. So what my theory on it is, because the Nox are banished underground, right? So what if Marika in this underground thing, understandably gained a hate, developed hate for the Greater Will, and maybe through some foresight, I know Eternal Cities have the fake night sky, maybe through those stars she was able to read the future, to read fate, and know exactly what to do to take the Greater Will down, know exactly what's gonna happen in the future. So she's kind of really just walking in a straight causal line of causality. That's why from this Eternal City, she just popped up randomly one day, started working for the Greater Will, burned down an entire fucking nation and veiled them just to gain power, and then took down even more enemies, wiped out the Fire Giants, wiped out the Stormlord, everyone else, destroyed Rhea Lucaria from the inside. And then when all was said and done, and you think she finally finished her purpose, plot twist, she shatters the Elden Ring, and the tarnish that she cast out is gonna be the exact people to help her take down the Greater Will that she once served. Holy shit. So it's kind of like EREN, Anakin, Paul. I hope you understand why I make the connection to these three characters. So just normal dudes, foresight, evil shit but that evil shit they view as heroic, which I guess Marika would view this thing as heroic, which I guess it kind of is. Taking down the Greater Will is kind of bad, but to get there you gotta do bad stuff. It's very gray area, which is fitting for all these four characters. So I think Marika is definitely an EREN, Anakin, Paul figure more than anything else, more than a Griffith figure. Definitely Griffith-esque, but Griffith just wanted power. I think these three want something good in the end, no matter how evil the shit they did is. That's what I think Marika is more resonating with for me. Okay, last simple one, and then we'll get into these 4 fucking last theories, and I should be done with this theories video. Let's get into these 2. Miranda Bloom's Winged Scythe. I'm not the first to point this out. I've seen this across like YouTube comments and Reddit posts. Miranda Blooms, which are the flowers that eat corpses, have this sort of like ray of light attack. Weirdly enough, the Winged Scythe, a scythe with wings, nice one there, that depicts pagan imagery of winged maidens that are said to be like the envoys of death, which is interesting too. I don't think we've seen winged maidens unless they're referring to Deathbirds. Could be the case, or winged maidens could be something we'll see in the Land of Shadow, who knows. It also has an attack with that ray of light, similar to the Miranda Blooms, and also it's holy. Why the fuck does something that represent death have holy damage when death is known to have int scaling stuff? How? I have no clue. Could it be that before Marika arrived, death was a mix of int and faith? It actually would make sense. Wasn't it a theme that like all of these cultures blended, mixed together until Marika came and wanted to unite everyone, wanted everyone to be a part of one faction? Maybe death, or sort of helping in the process of death, was both involving int and faith. So actually this death practice was actually holy, I guess, before Marika arrived and said, no death. No death for you. I am holy. And only her stuff has, and only Greater Will stuff has holy now. Really don't know. That's my headcanon for now. That faith and int were actually in harmony at once until Marika came, until the Fire Nation invaded. Also, Winged Scythe, drawing from the power of death. Miranda Blooms eat corpses and then have those similar light rays of the Winged Scythe also drop powers from death, so that's cool. Okay, into this one, which is kind of a cool theory too. Me and a lot of other people have wondered why the hell there's no Blood, Felgod, or Serpent ending since the game came out. I think I have the answer. For the Blood one, we kind of delved into that earlier, being that the Blood God is not something that wants like rule over everything per se. It's just like it's indirect, as Vati said. Like you indirectly serve it. You don't actually actively choose to serve this thing and spread its influence and stuff like that. You more so just do blood stuff and then are rewarded and stuff. It doesn't really want anything other than wounds. So I understand why it doesn't have an ending. It wouldn't really want an age. It wouldn't want order over anything. It just wants fucking wounds. Like hurt me more. That's all it wants. So I understand why there's no blood ending. For Fel God now, not completely sure with this one, but what I think is all their task to do is sort of like Surtur in Ragnarok in Norse mythology, which is basically just bring the end of Asgard. For them, it's to just burn the Erd Tree. That's all that they're tasked to do. And I get why there's no ending to them, because that's literally what you do in the base game to get to an ending in the first place. So like you're basically fulfilling their job already. Giving them an ending would make no sense really. You've already burned it and fulfilled their destiny. I guess that's why. For Serpent ending now, I really just like everyone else, I wanted an ending where you just joined Rykard, became a big ass serpent, and then ate everybody. But here's the interesting thing. There's no ending involving that because all endings lead to that happening. If you read this, the Devourer's Scepter. Scepter in the shape of a serpent devouring the world. This weapon will one day become the very symbol of the Lord of Blasphemy. A vision of the future seen briefly by Rykard in his final moments before being devoured by the great serpent. Another example of foresight. And this is fucking confirmed. I don't know how no one's talking about this. Scepter in the shape of a serpent devouring the world. A vision of the future. This isn't just a vision or some like, tripping out, hallucinating stuff. It's a vision of the fucking future. This is gonna happen. That's the lands between, and that's the great serpent. That's gonna happen one day. That's not just design or something. That's literally gonna happen. It's telling you what's gonna happen to the world. Which is fucking crazy to think that no matter what ending you choose, at least the lands between is gonna get eaten by the great serpent. It's fucking crazy, which probably was why Age of Stars is good, because you head off into space, so it doesn't really matter that the great serpent eats lands between. You just go and fuck off to another planet. But yeah, that's why there's no Blood God, Fel God, and Serpent ending. As much as I'd like to see a Serpent ending, we're given the reason as to why there's not one right here in this simple item description. Everything is gonna be eaten by the great serpent. Holy shit. Maybe Elden Ring 2 is gonna build after that. If there is an Elden Ring 2 at all, or another game in this world, maybe it could take place after that. A different planet, I'm assuming different galaxy, where the lands between is already eaten by the great serpent. And whatever ending you chose, it doesn't fucking matter. Which is kind of poetic. I'm like getting real tired. I had a couple beers. I'm kind of drunk. It's 1 a.m. I'm very tired. I'm gonna continue this tomorrow, which explains the outfit change. No. So here we are. It's the next day. Thank you so much for watching this far. If you have, it's now time for what I think is my greatest theory. It's definitely my most original one, and I think it's one of my most convincing ones too. I'm definitely going into the DLC with this in mind, and it is: all outer gods are stars. Now, this is just a big and crazy claim to make without a lot of proof, but thankfully, I do have a lot of speculation beforehand to help build to this conclusion. So these are all standalone theories. This is standalone. These are all standalone. This is standalone, but these two kind of build on the ideas that this lays down, so they kind of depend on this, but these are all standalone theories that I'm gonna tell you first, and then keeping all those in mind, I just forgot to add that. I'm gonna be explaining how all of those concepts put together draws to this conclusion. And I'm very proud of this theory. I hope it convinces some of you. Definitely the one I've worked the hardest on. And definitely had like a eureka moment when I pieced this together in my brain. I really hope this is confirmed in the DLC. I would like literally die on the spot. But let's start with the first one. It's that all Frenzied Flame is an outer god. So there's a bunch of outer gods in the lands between. Formless Mother or Mother of Truth, like we mentioned earlier. Greater Will, we all know that. Fell God of the Fire Giants. Outer God that the Twinbirds serve. There's also the moons, which I don't know exactly if you can consider those outer gods. It is debatable, but anyways. How about Frenzied Flame? It's definitely a force that acts just like other outer gods. It even has its own flame, like the other outer gods have. But it's never actually ever technically called an outer god. But in my theory, my opinion, it is one. It just doesn't want to call itself that, or doesn't act like that, which is why it doesn't seem like it. So to explain that, the concept of Frenzied Flame is that basically it's very plain and simple. It wants to burn everything in the yellow chaos flame so that everything is one with the flame. There's no more separation. There's no more anything, divisions or anything. Everything is just one. So no life, no death, no rebirth, no anything like that. It's just one flame. And keeping that concept in mind, it would make sense that whatever it is, it wouldn't want a hierarchy like the other gods have. Like the Greater Will has the outer god, which is itself, and then a god, Marika, and then an Elden Lord and all that crap. I'm sure that it hates that idea or is completely against that idea. So it wouldn't have those things. It does have a couple of figures, I guess, being the three fingers, Shabriri, Hayera. It does have those figures which help serve it, and I guess they sort of serve as a guide to sort of spread the influence of Frenzied Flame. But I don't think they're like any higher rank. They're just basically a role assigned to these people to just help spread it. Not that they're above anyone. Same with the Lord of Frenzied Flame. Yeah, you are called Lord of Frenzied Flame, but you're not exactly the god of it. You don't control it. Everything still burns in the yellow chaos flame. There just needs to be a lord in place to start the new age of Frenzied Flame. So these like ranks are sort of a means to an end, not exactly a hierarchy of kings, lords, gods, and stuff. But yeah, that's probably why we never hear of like a single outer god that represents Frenzied Flame, because again, that just really doesn't fit the theme. So my theory is, what if all of Frenzied Flame is an outer god? Doesn't that fit very well with the no ranks, no divisions, all is one? So this would mean every single instance of Frenzied Flame is the outer god of Frenzied Flame itself. So everything from the three fingers to Shabriri, Hayera, to the Frenzied Flame followers, to the grapes, to even the incantations you use, you hold the outer god of Frenzied Flame in your hands when you have their seal and whenever you cast their spells. That's very cool to think of, and is my head canon for them for sure. Moving on, this is quite a big juicy one. The Greater Will is the sun. I'm definitely not the first to think this, but I think I'm the first to think of it this way, if that makes sense. So let me explain how I got to this conclusion. I farmed every item, right? And part of those items is the Sun Realm Shield, which it's a shield of honor depicting a city crowned by the sun. It has seen better days. Much like the wear upon the shield, the seat of the sun is long faded away. That has boggled my mind for so fucking long. The seat of the sun? What the hell is that? Because there is still a sun in the lands between, although it really isn't noticeable that much, because the Earth Tree is basically the sun that provides light to the whole land. So what's the point of the sun? But there's no really like mention of the sun too much, which is pretty weird in a game where these outer bodies are such a big deal. You know, stars, comets, space, the void, primeval current, and all of that. If that's such a big deal, why the fuck is the sun not talked about at all? Maybe it is, just not in the way we think. Before we get there, my first theory was that this would be related to Castle Sol, because Castle Sol has the symbol of the eclipsed sun, and it's one of the only things to mention the sun, I'm pretty sure, the entire game. Their entire goal is basically to eclipse the sun, cure Godwyn of his curse, of his state, because he is cursed to live in death. So his body is alive, but his soul is dead, and that causes Deathblight and Deathroot everywhere, and it's just not a good time for everybody, and I'm assuming not a good time for Godwyn as well. So that was their entire purpose. I thought that maybe the seat of the sun was once Castle Sol, like at its height, like before falling from grace. And I just ran with that for a really long time until just recently, just this year, I was going through Farum Azula and I find a fucking skeletal beast man holding this shield. This dude, it's holding the fucking Suncrest shield, which boggled my mind even more. Like, I'm pretty sure this predates Castle Sol now. This is like a skeletal, decayed beast man, and he has this thing. I'm pretty sure this predates Castle Sol. So that just debunked the Seat of the Sun being Castle Sol in my mind now. So I was just wondering, what the fuck is the Seat of the Sun then? And after a lot of tinfoil hat thinking, I remembered this theory that the Greater Will could be the sun. And I was like, huh, that sounds more and more, like, convincing to me now. And I think I have a theory on what the Seat of the Sun could be. And it's something that's related to the old, like, ages and Farum Azula. So, what I came up with is that, because you see this Sunrealm shield carried by skeletal soldiers just around the Lands Between. I farmed for this one in Liurnia. So, we know that it's a force in the Lands Between, I mean, on the ground and in Farum Azula up in the sky. If this is like a faction that's worshipping the sun, that's another assumption. We don't really know anything about the Seat of the Sun, whether they just use it as a symbol or they worship it. But in this theory, they worship the sun. And I guess it would be a religion just like any other in the old age. Because before Marika took over, there's like all of these cultures and religions blending together. But then when she took over, she tried to unite everyone under one banner. And that's why all of this bad stuff happens. But anyways, back in the time where every one of these religions are like blending together, I think this is when the Seat of the Sun existed, just as another religion in the Lands Between, just like any other. And they worshipped the sun. This would be both beast men and normal and human men. They worshipped the sun and they wanted to go so close to the sun that they built Farum Azula, or at least they made Farum Azula float into the sky to get as close as they can to the sun. And this is still like fixed Farum Azula, not crumbled yet. And I guess they got close to the sun, they worshipped this thing, and what I think happened is, because Farum Azula became crumbled because something hit it, I think that they worshipped the sun so much, and I guess worshipping or believing in something, praying to something, gives power to the outer god. This is all theoretical, just based on assumptions, because outer god's entire purpose is to spread their influence as much as possible to like the smaller people, to as much people as possible. Why would they want to do that if it doesn't give them something back? You know what I mean? So I think that because this sun religion became so strong, and they even made a whole city float just to get closer to the sun heard these prayers and sent down a falling star, which was the Elden Beast, the Elden Stars, which crashed into Farum Azula and made it all gravity stuff, whatever, making the Ruins Great Sword, which still has the gravity power in it, because the Elden Stars is a falling star, which is also known as a meteor. It's pretty weird, but that's how it is in Elden Ring. And the Elden Stars held the Elden Beast, which later became the Elden Ring, which means that the sun is actually the Greater Will. This theory is definitely, like, it goes against many other theories, because so people have been debating like the origin story of the Lands Between. So is it there was life there before and then these outer gods came, or was it that everything was empty, just inanimate objects, and then the Greater Will gave life to everything and then outer gods followed? We don't really know, but this is definitely following the thought of there was life here before, and the whole outer god shenanigans happen after. I don't exactly know. I don't claim to know the entire origin story. But moving on to a different point now, though, that I think could support that the greater will is the sun. Let's go back to Castle Sol and remember their purpose. Their purpose is to eclipse the sun, which is to block the sun's light so that it doesn't hit the lands between. That's what an eclipse does. To cure Godwyn of his state. Why is blocking the sun supposed to cure Godwyn? Again, my mind was stuck on this a while, but then while thinking of the sun in real life a bit, I remembered a Veritasium video I watched and a couple things I read online where like the sun's rays can affect computers and affect even like it can like move things at a very microscopic level, like just light alone can do that. So I was thinking, what if the greater will's influence is sunlight, which if the Elden Ring came from the greater will and the curse mark carved onto Godwyn came from the rune of death, which is from the Elden Ring, trace it all back, it all originates from the sun. So to block out the sunlight, if the greater will really is the sun, means to block off every single influence that the greater will has. So the Elden Ring would lose power, the runes would lose power, everything that came from the sun, the greater will would lose power. Doesn't that make like a lot of sense thinking of it that way? I don't know if that clicks with any of you or if you resonate with that or if you understood that. But a last thing I guess would be that EG has the mirror helm and even the Nox have the mirror helm, which are helmets with mirrors obviously that are said to ward off the influence of the greater will and its vassal fingers. Why a mirror helm out of all things? Because mirror reflects light, reflects sunlight. So if the sunlight bounces off of you, doesn't reach you, the greater will's influence can't reach you. Boom. The greater will could actually be the sun. Which is why we don't hear about the sun, because we hear its other alias, the greater will. And it could be a thing like Christianity, actually, in real life. It does have a few similarities. Like the sun religion could be equal to their god. But then as time progressed, there were more sort of figures to worship, like Marika, the Erd Tree, and other stuff like that. Similar to how in Christianity, it was once just God who they worshipped. But then God became the Holy Spirit and Jesus too. So it was the same God, but now there's like 3 figures that they can worship. So yeah, kind of the same with Elden Ring. Pretty interesting. I think that's all I got for now with this one. Hope that convinced some of you. I really like that theory. I guess there's one last thing, being that the 2 fingers we know are largely related to the greater will. They are their like envoys. So it makes a lot of sense that they are very faith-based. They have faith-based incantations that they teach to Tarnished. But something interesting is that, again from Vati's video on his on the playtest of the DLC, there's actually a 2 fingers sorcery, a spell, something int-based. So why would something relating to the greater will, which is largely faith-based, have something int? If the greater will is the sun, and the sun is a star, and star's primeval current is very int-based, maybe that's the explanation. And the 2 fingers are hiding these sorceries, their spells, their magic side, because they don't want anyone to find out the true nature of the greater will, that it's just another star in the void of billions of stars, infinite stars. But on the topic of greater will and its thingies, let's talk about the Elden Beast. I noticed that the Elden Beast and Astel have a pretty few similarities that seemed very sus to me. Let me pull up a picture right here. I'm not the first one to notice similarities between these 2, but I'm going to point out a couple things that I don't think I've seen anywhere. First of all, they have hands, as you can see. 5-fingered hands, might I add. They have these wings, multiple wings. Although, yes, they are very different. There are a lot of similarities to just pass it by as coincidence, in my opinion. They both have an eye on their head, like at the center of their head. This one has an eye and this has an eye. They're both made up of what looks to be stars. Here, stars inside. And the last thing is the tail. Astel has this spiky tail right there. And Elden Beast, while it is resembling roots more than spikes, it is sort of like it still does look like an altered version or a different version of Astel's tail. There's also a similarity in the naming, if you notice. But actually, before we get that, let me backtrack a bit. I say there's a similarity in naming because not exactly with Astel, but of what he is. And it's theorized, and I think pretty much confirmed, that Astel is a falling star beast. Like a fully grown one. Because falling star beasts, as you can see here, have the spiky tails, the pincers, and the eye in the middle. It seems to be like an Astel is sort of sprouting from that. And falling star beast and Astel are both stars. Astel is a malformed star. Falling star beast came from a falling star slash a meteor. So this just seems to be a full-grown version of this. So if that's the case, that means Astel is a falling star beast. And over here we have an Elden beast with a couple of similarities, although being very different. So that made me think, what if they're the same species? And that's actually not too far-fetched. The Elden beast came from the Elden stars, which was sent by the Greater Will. It's said to be stars that was harboring a beast within it that later became the Elden Ring. So a falling star with a beast in it, doesn't that sound really familiar? What I think happened is the Greater Will took a falling star or a malformed star, whatever, but a star holding an Astel in it, and sort of gave it its influence, transforming it into the Elden Beast. And this is what it sent down to the lands between as the Elden Stars. So I think these are the same species, the exact same species, this one just being one influenced by the Greater Will's power, which is very, very cool. There's just so much connections to make between them that I'm pretty much convinced with this one. But then my brain said, no, we must go deeper. I think there are more examples of Astels in the game. I'm not talking about other basically copy-paste versions of this guy. No, I'm not talking about that. There are other Astels we've encountered in the game that we don't even know are Astels. And they, I theorize, this is my next part of the theory. These are the other two theories that connect to this. I think two more examples of Astel is the God of Rot, sealed in the Lake of Rot, and the Blood Star. Let's first talk about the Blood Star. So the Blood Star is something that's seen by the Thorn Sorcerers, who are prisoners who had their eyes gouged out, and in their blindness, they saw the Blood Star. And Blood Star and Formless Mother, which is the outer god of blood, there seems to be a connection there. People have said that people theorize that they could be the same being. I don't think so. I think they are connected, though. What I think the Blood Star is borrowing from this, referencing this theory. I think the Formless Mother, just like the Greater Will took a falling star and turned it into the Elden Stars and the Elden Beast, I think that the Formless Mother took a falling star, or just the star, I guess, and influenced it with its power, with its blood, creating the Blood Star. So the Blood Star would be to the Formless Mother what the Elden Beast is to the Greater Will. And how can I support that? The item description of the Great Stars: huge bludgeon with 3 stars at the striking end. Though primarily a striking weapon, the star's spikes cause blood loss. A blood-stained star is an ill omen, a fact not lost upon those against whom this weapon is brought to bear. So you could take a double meaning from this thing. The bloodstained star in the item description is definitely talking about this, because the star is a weapon, a morning star. It's a kind of weapon, a type of weapon, and this is bloodstained, so it's definitely talking about that. But you could take a double meaning from it. You could take that it's talking about the blood star as well. And if you notice the phrasing, blood-stained star. To stain something is to mark something. So if the blood star was a blood star from the beginning, it wouldn't be described as blood-stained. So I think this supports the thing that the Formless Mother took a star and then stained it with its blood and it made it the blood star, which I think is what this is talking about right now in the Great Star's item description. Coming up next, this is going to be a very, very crazy tinfoil hat reach. But do you see these are stars, right? You don't see another weapon like with this shape in game. You see these are stars, right? Like the star weapon with a peculiar shape. It's connected to a actual like symbol of a star, which I guess could support again that this is talking about the blood star. If you line it up, doesn't this look like a tail? Doesn't this look like a tail of Astel? Hello? And it's connected to a star. Astel is a falling star, so this tail being connected to a star, tail connected to a star. Hello? Am I the first person to point that out? To point this out? That would be amazing, but oh my god, this blew my mind. Like, this thing looks familiar, and it's talking about a blood star. Is the blood star an Astel? I'm pretty sure it's an Astel. But it's yet to fall to the lands between, I guess, or to fall anywhere. Which is why you don't actually see this thing. But there could be a blood version, a blood-tainted version of Astel sitting somewhere in space. I guess the reason why people know of its shape is, I guess it will only be the Thorn Sorcerers who've seen the blood star, and I guess they've talked about them, and then people have made this weapon after their tails. I guess that could be a possibility, but dude, that's crazy. I hope that's true. Imagine if we fight the blood star in the DLC, dude. Because stars are said in like a quote released in Twitter, I think, by Elden Ring official account. Stars still have influence in the Land of Shadow, although it's veiled. So, another cut. It's been a couple hours. I went outside and had another drink, but now I'm back. Let's finally finish this thing. So, where were we? So I think that the sealed god of rot, of Scarlet Rot, is also an Astel. Let me close these tabs. The Lake of Rot, from what we all know, is it's where the blind swordsman sealed away the god of rot. There's a few descriptions talking about this in the Blue Dancer charm and in the Lake of Rot map. Here in the Lake of Rot map, it says, a great lake of standing water downstream of the Angel River. It is said that the divine essence of an outer god is sealed away in this land. And on the other hand, Blue Dancer charm, the swordsman sealed away an ancient god, a god that was rot itself. So you may be thinking, how is whatever sealed in the Lake of Rot an Astel if it's described to be a god slash maybe an outer god? Let's make another comparison to the Elden Beast. When we slay this thing, it says God slain. Which is weird because isn't Marika Radagon the god? And with Rot 2, don't we already have a god of Scarlet Rot being Melina? And what I think the case is, it's definitely like a Trinity, Holy Trinity type concept. Just like God, there's God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit, which are three separate bodies but are all God. I think it's a similar concept to that, but not completely. Where in Elden Ring, there's the outer god, like the Greater Will, which has the Elden Beast, which is a god, because it says God slain when we kill this thing. The Greater Will, I guess, would be more like God. The Elden Beast would be more like the Holy Spirit, because it's an animal. And then Marika Radagon could be representative of Jesus, who is also a god. Marika Radagon is referred to as a god. So that's how I think it works. So that said, a god that was Rot itself could be talking about an Astel. Again, one that was given power by the god, the outer god of Scarlet Rot. similar to the Elden Beast and the Greater Will. But you might think, doesn't it say that the Outer God is sealed away in this land? So doesn't that kind of debunk your theory? It says that the divine essence of an Outer God is sealed away in this land. And with the Elden Beast being a vassal of the Greater Will, and I'm sure it holds its divine essence as well, the divine essence of the Outer God could just be carried by this god, by this falling star of Scarlet Rot. I'm naming it so much names, but I'm basically talking about the Elden Beast equivalent of the Scarlet Rot Outer God faction. And okay, I said all of that. The reason why I even thought of that in the first place is, take a look at this. I probably should have opened with this, but whatever, at least now you have the foundation on what can support this thing I'm about to show you. Take a look. Okay. Stay with me here. Take a look at the wing of Astel. Just take a quick look at it. Actually, take a deep look at it. Notice every single detail you can possibly notice. I'll give you some time. I can even help you on the way. There's the wing. There's this little pointy thing, and then there's little hairs on the wing. This is a part of Astel that we're able to get. Take a look at this thing. This is the Scorpion Stinger Dagger, which is theorized to be a part of the sealed god in the Lake of Rot. Here it says, crafted from the relic of a sealed outer god. This could actually debunk my entire theory now that I'm thinking of it. But it could be, again, that meaning that the power of an outer god was sealed here. Because again, in the Blue Dancer charm, it said that a god was sealed, not an outer god. And then in the Lake of Rot map, it says the essence of a god was sealed. So we're kind of getting conflicting things here. So we're not really sure what's going on. This could definitely just throw a wrench into my whole theory and destroy it. But assuming this means that it's the sealed power of an outer god, we can still go with that theory. But anyways, do you notice any fucking similarities? Anything at all? Do you see this? Do you fucking see this shit? They have the same strands. It's like they're the same species, as if they're the same species. A falling star. There's a Scarlet Rot falling star beast that takes the form of a scorpion, I guess, and is the equivalent of the Elden Beast to the outer god of Scarlet Rot. And this thing is sealed in the Lake of Rot, and we're able to get a piece of it, a piece of its fucking tail, of its stinger. What the hell? And just a little small theory. It's attached to a beast handle. This kind of confused me a bit. But then I remembered beasts are kind of like, Godfrey has the beast regent Siraj on his back, and what his role is to sort of quell his bloodlust so he doesn't go all psycho. It could be that this tail is still alive, because again, the theorized falling star beast of Scarlet Rot was only sealed and not killed. And also, there's the scorpion talismans, which they're all depicting a scorpion, which is very interesting, by the way, that sees a heart that still shimmers, that's still sort of alive. It also just actually just freshly shed off its exoskeleton. So maybe this is how the Scarlet Rot beast works. Rot being like a cycle of decay and stuff. That this would really fit that concept of like Ouroboros. With it holding a heart that still like shimmers, that's still, you know, alive, that could entail the Scarlet Rot beast is indeed still alive. And maybe the purpose of this symbol of a beast is to sort of quell its bloodlust, the same way Siraj does to Godfrey. Maybe to like stop it from growing, from spreading Scarlet Rot, so it just stays as a dagger. So that's pretty fucking cool. I hope those made sense at like the very least. To summarize that, I think that for every outer god, the hierarchy is there's an outer god, they have a falling star beast that they influence to sort of send to the lands between and help their spread their influence and doing all sorts of stuff. So maybe in the DLC we'll see an Astel type creature that's associated with different outer gods. That would be really cool. So yeah, with all of that in mind, if you're still remembering these last few theories, keep all of those in mind still. Let's move on to the last part, and the craziest part to me. All outer gods are stars. So basically take the same hierarchy I just mentioned, but the outer gods are also stars themselves. Not falling stars, but stars. I just noticed that there's always a star or star imagery always associated with an outer god. With the exception of the outer god of Scarlet Rot, there's no sort of star imagery there from what I know. It's basically just, I theorize that it has a falling star beast, and in my theory, falling star beasts come from an outer god star, so I just assume that there is a star. We haven't seen any form of it yet. Also, the Twinbirds outer god, we don't know anything about that, so I don't know any star imagery related to that. Future me here wanting to point out the possibility that the Twinbird may actually be a falling star beast of whatever outer god it serves. So we still have no idea of what, basically anything about its outer god, but if the Twinbird is in fact the god that Placidusax is waiting for, and remember my theory that falling star beasts are sort of the same level as gods, are gods themselves, and that the Twinbird is even the envoy of the outer god it serves, maybe it looks like an Astel. Maybe it's also a falling star beast, just like them. Who knows? There's one last thing. There's also, if again we assume that these things are all Astels, there's also an interesting similarity to like their habitat, to where they're located. It seems to me that the ideal habitat of an Astel, a falling star beast, is water on the ground and stars in the sky. We see this very similar arena shared between the Astel boss fight and Elden Beast. There's also, while not being completely similar, there is the second Astel. Although there's no stars, it is standing on top of ice, which is just frozen hard water. So that's the same. For the Lake of Rot falling star beast now, it's in a lake, that's water, and above it is a large glintstone crystal. Now that's not a star, but if glintstones are related to stars in a way, primeval current, magic, intelligence, and stuff, maybe that was like used as a substitute. Maybe that's why the Lake of Rot is there in the first place. I don't know. But all of those four locations do share an interesting similarity. So this theory is basically sharing from all these last ones now. The Greater Will, we theorize, could be the sun, which is a star, obviously, if you went to school. The Formless Mother, Mother of Truth, has the Blood Star, or the Bloodstained Star of Ill Omen. But how about the Fell God and the Frenzied Flame? We know from the Elden Stars that we can sort of cast incantations that are able to mimic stars to an extent. We don't actually make a star the size of the Elden Stars. When we cast Elden Stars, that's probably not what the real Elden Stars looks like, which is the copy. But anyways, that's what I think is happening with the Flame of the Fell God incantation. This thing just looks like a star. And to support my theory even further that outer gods are stars, if this incantation really is mimicking a star, description of this says, releases a ball of raging fire said to be inhabited by a fell god. Hello, fell god is an outer god. Raging ball of fire is a star. The fell god inhabits this star. It is the star. Or maybe, actually, because it says inhabited by it, maybe this is the falling star of the fell god, and we don't actually know what its real star looks like. So there's like a fell god Astel lurking in there. Whatever the case, falling star or outer god star itself, the fell god faction has sort of star imagery to them. And with the Frenzied Flame, this one might be a reach, but look at this dude. Your face, your head, when you get the Frenzied Flame ending. It kind of resembles a star. It's a circular ball of fire. So this could be, not this literally, I guess it would mimic a star, the same way with the Elden Stars and the Flame of the Fell God. But this could be what the Frenzied Flame Outer God star looks like. And for the Frenzied Flame, I have a couple more points to support that it is a star. First of all, when we remember the Blood Star, that was only able to be seen when the Thorn Sorcerer's eyes were gouged out and it was bloody, and then they found the Blood Star in that blindness. Doesn't that kind of sound familiar to Hyera, who she's blind, and in her blindness she's able to see a glow, a light, and that's Frenzied Flame sort of guiding her, I guess, or something. It's she sees the Frenzied Flame basically in her blindness. So with the Thorn Sorcerers being blinded, they saw the Blood Star. Maybe Hyera blinded, she saw the Frenzied Flame Star. Maybe. Last thing to support that, it would also, I guess, support the Sealed God of Rot thing. This is a mini theory in itself. Astel locations theory. So, Astels, I think, they're definitely animal-like. They're not as sentient as something like the Elden Beast, let's say. They're like primally drawn to stars. This is why when the Nox casted Eternal Darkness, which accidentally called in an Astel, the Astel took all of their false stars and sort of kept him for himself in his own domain. And it's been a point in many theories, why the hell Astel, the underground one, why the hell it's located there out of all places, in between the plateau in Liurnia and the Lake of Rot. Like, why would he choose to like set up his camp there? If we assume that there is a sealed Scarlet Rot Falling Star beast in the lake, and that Astels are drawn to stars, what if he sensed that there was a star somewhere in the vicinity of the Lake of Rot, but because it's animal-like and can't really think, it's probably stupid, it's dumb. It doesn't know where that sealed Scarlet Rot beast is, so it just set up its little star base off to the side, in proximity to it, because it sensed some star energy in the Lake of Rot. We could support this idea further with the second Astel that we fight. I'm talking about in the yellow tunnel in Mountaintops of the Giants. It's in the yellow annex. And yellow, as we know, bars, is related to the Frenzied Flame. There's the Eye of Yellow plants, which are Frenzied Flame related. If that place, this is heavy speculation, but if that place is called Yellow Annex, could that possibly be where Frenzied Flame begun? Shabiri is said to be like the first instance of Frenzied Flame, I think, ever recorded. So maybe that's where he first found it, and then it just spread around that area and then spread into the lands between. If we assume that the Frenzied Flame is a star, and remember this theory that all Frenzied Flame is an outer god, so like whatever form of Frenzied Flame you have, you're all like equal rank, equal power, everything. If the people in the Yellow Annex inhabited Frenzied Flame, they would also inhabit its like star energy. So I think basically the power of the star of Frenzied Flame would be indistinguishable from the power of the Frenzied Flame within the people of Yellow Annex. So like it's basically the same like energy levels kind of thing. Because again, it's all like equality blending into one is their entire theme. So to be an Astel and look at the Yellow Annex, it could be possible that it sensed star energy there. It sensed the star there being the Frenzied Flame being spread to the people there. Not the actual star of Frenzied Flame, but again, because their power is equal. So maybe a stupid little dumb Astel landed into Yellow Annex and was like, wait, there's a star here, I can sense it, but where the fuck is it? And then he never really found out, so he just chilled in the cave. But the point that I'm trying to make is, Astels, it is a fact that they're sort of drawn to stars in a way. Again, with one Astel claiming the whole false night sky. There's a lot of withering Astels underground in proximity to these false night skies. There's one Withering Astel in a mine, which is kind of quite far actually from underground cities, but the explanation you could say is that it could have landed there and sort of it's trying to make its way deeper into the Eternal Cities, but it's just like stuck at the mines, something like that. But whatever. This could be an explanation on why those two boss fight Astels we see are in the locations that they are, because they really seem out of place. Whole bunch of theories about why they're there, but this is my take on it and my headcanon and what I'm going into the DLC with. It's a theory that builds on top of other theories, which is kind of crazy, but I don't know. I like it. Okay, I like its crackpottiness. It's just a crazy like sentence to think of. The sealed god of Rot is a falling star beast, and all of Frenzied Flame is a star. And Astels are drawn to stars, so that's why they're at these two particular locations. And yeah, that's basically it. That's all outer gods are stars. That's all I've got to really support that. Again, I hope at least one of you resonate with this or can kind of see where I'm coming from. There's just so much star related stuff with each outer god. So if this is true, the new hierarchy would be outer god star, falling star beast, and then god, and then lord, and then king, something like that. Whatever. I'm pretty sure not every faction has to follow that. It's definitely how it is in the Greater Will, if true. But yeah, that's just crazy, man. To think that all the outer gods are just stars in the sky. They're only ever described in text. Their appearance is never described. It's only described what they do, how they behave, their powers and stuff, but never how they look. And they could be these eldritch monstrosities, but I like the idea that they could just be stars in the sky. Because in astrology, the belief that stars dictate fate and everything, that there's power in stars and stuff, it just very, very much so fits in here. It could be too that outer god stars are formed stars, properly formed stars, and falling stars, Astels, are called malformed stars, probably because they were supposed to be formed into an outer god star, but again is malformed, probably just due to chaos stuff in the universe. Not Frenzy Flame chaos, like just the concept of chaos, randomness, RNG, basically. That could be the case because there are on Astel, there's like the on the stars or whatever that build his body, there's like golden globes that are there, or amber, more likely. And amber starlight is said to dictate like the fate of the gods and stuff like that. But yeah, that's my biggest theory. This was supposed to be like an entire cinematic thing where item descriptions, references pop up everywhere, but this is all we got for now. I have to go somewhere tomorrow. I actually hope I can upload this in time, but yeah. That is that. But to end off the video, let's have a couple bonus theories and stuff I want to get back to that I said I was gonna get to later. First of all, this is a pretty simple one. Sentience. Every instance of sentience is enough to make a soul. This thought came when I was just confused. How the hell we have spirit ashes of golems, which are not supposed to be alive, or like mimic tears, albinurics, just things that are artificial having spirit ashes. Why? How is that possible? Maybe it's just because to have a soul, to develop a soul, it's not that you have to be birthed in a normal sense, but as long as you have sentience, no matter how you're formed, artificial or not, if you have sentience, if you can think for yourself, feel for yourself, I think it generates you a soul. It gives you a soul. So that's why we have spirit ashes of inanimate stuff. This one, Blackstone Civilization, which made the golems. Actually, to add to this, I think the Blackstone Civilization, because they use crystal technology within themselves. If you throw crystal darts at golems, be it the giant ones or the imps. I think they're from the same creator. Because the imps also have that same technology within them. Even the Erdtree burial watchdogs, they all have the same technology where if you throw crystal darts, that sort of glitches their insides. So I think the Crystallians, the creator of the Crystallians, is either of the Blackstone Civilization or collaborated with the Blackstone Civilization, because the Blackstone Civilization uses crystal technology in their constructs. But anyways, I think the Blackstone Civilization also may have collaborated with the Stormlord, because if you see a golem use his golem bow and he fires an arrow, I don't know if this is an effect that's caused just because it's a huge thing. That's why it causes like a whirlwind. But whenever they fire one, it causes like a whirlwind effect around the arrow. So similar to the wind, Ashes of War, related to Stormlord. So maybe there is a collaboration there. It would fit the theme of different cultures again, living with each other and living in harmony before Marika invaded and fucked everything up. Here you go. Death and magic is the same thing. I noticed this one while just digging through my incantations and spells, and noticed that soul-based things are int-based. You need int to cast them, which I thought was surprising, because isn't like souls, that concept, supposed to be sort of holy related? But it turns out no, it's int related, opposed to how life is something faith related. I think that's the case because magic is basically, you're not drawing power, because incantation and faith, you need faith in something, you draw power from something. But magic is, you're sort of bending the world. It's not something you need to have faith in, it's something you need to learn. It's just the laws of the world that you sort of bend to your will. And if magic is related to just the world, the universe, like stardust, like comets, maybe the reason why death is so int and magic related, because isn't dying, because we're all made of stardust at the end of the day, right? Isn't dying sort of the process of us returning to stardust? You think? Maybe that's why magic and death are like related and are the same thing. You could also take a look at a few examples. The Graven Masses, the Graven Schools. Selen is a great example of this. Learn too much about the primeval current, which I think is just the universe and everything, like the origin of everything, the foundations of everything, just very universe, stars, comets, galaxies, nebulas type of thing. When you like dig deep too much into it, you become a Graven School, Graven Mass, and you basically become this thing where you're living but you're also kind of dead. You like become just a half animate, half inanimate object sort of thing. We also see this with Sorcerer Lusat and Azur. They dug too deep into the primeval current, and they also became living but also not like inanimate sort of crystals. Could kind of support that. The more you lean into magic, the more you also lean into death, because death and magic is the same thing. Magic is like related with stardust and the you controlling this stardust, and death is living beings and their souls turning into stardust. Also could be supported by that the void of space is cold, ghost flame is cold, it does frostbite, I'm pretty sure. Could be like the transition of your body and your soul into the universe, into the coldness of the universe, something like that. I also, if you remember, if you're watching through this whole video and remember that I'm gonna get back to the grace-like texture animation that you see on the waygates and when Torrent jumps, in relation to star theory, I think that is star energy. Just that shape, whatever color it is, whatever thing it comes from, just that shape, that animation, I think that is star energy. With the waygates, we don't have too much lore on them, but what I think they are is literal wormholes. Like this, like, yeah, of sci-fi, science fiction stuff. Wormholes, which warp space and time. And I guess being a portal between space, time, and stuff. Maybe like a portal connecting to the primeval current, maybe. I don't know. Whatever the case, I think the way gates are connected to space in a way, to stars, and that flow, that animation that you see is pure star energy. Now, what grace is, if we assume star theory, that the greater will is the sun, I think that is the star energy of the sun that Marika obviously uses to help guide you. The Helfen, on the other hand, I'm not sure what star they could come from. It could just be... Wait, something just hit me now. Fell god... Fell means, like, sort of felled, like, defeated, right? Marika defeated the Fell god. It died in battle. The Helfen is orange, just like the fire giants, and you have to die in battle to get into the Helfen, that sort of afterlife. So maybe that's the star energy of the Fell god. Oh, that could be the case. I don't know. That could be a theme of the Fell god. Now that I think about it, just something destined to fall, to lose. It's gonna lose in the most honorable way possible, something like that. I don't fucking know. I'm just making shit up now. But Helfen could be either the star energy of the Fell god or whatever outer god the Twinbirds have, which is also related to death. And then the blood grace that I mentioned earlier, if that really is a thing, that would be the star energy of the Formless Mother. So why does Torrent have that animation thing? Torrent is a spirit. He's a spirit steed. And spirits, just like magic, with relation to the magic and death, is the same thing. Spirit is like an in-between, between life and death. Kind of like alive and dead at the same time. But I guess you would be transitioning. What I said earlier, death would be you returning to Stardust. Your spirit would be sort of your soul turning back into star energy. Pure star energy, like the ones we see from the Waygate. Yeah, that's what I think graces and the similar things that look like graces are star energy. That's another tinfoil hat one. One more thing to support this theory is that there are these snail mobs in the game, like the serpent snails. There's only a few variations of them. So there's the base one. There is one that is covered in crystals, can like spit out crystals. There's one that's very bone death related, like its shell is literally a huge skull, maybe of a troll. And then there's the spirit color snails. Maybe snails are like intelligence based. Like maybe they put all their stat points into intelligence, because spirit calling, death, crystals, which are connected to like glintstones, to magic, they're all int leaning stuff, so that could support that the magic and death thing is the same. And also I guess serves as a mini theory that serpent snails are intelligence scaling, intelligence based. And this is basically the Twinbird outer god is a god of magic, death. The Twinbird, which is theorized to be from Faramazula. Faramazula, there's a bunch of death rituals there, you know, all the beastmen buried in gold, buried all over the place. The things related to the Twinbirds, which are the Deathbirds, the Deathrite birds, just largely related with death, of, I guess, sort of helping the process of returning corpses and sort of making them, like, returning them to Stardust through the cold ghost flame. Twinbirds, there's two of them. They are twin birds, probably like a Radagon Marika situation, maybe even a direct counterpart to them. It has two sides, which I think would fit it representing both magic and death, even though they are the same thing. They are kind of two things. And then I guess the Twinbird would be the marriage of these two things, something like that. So there's sort of two bird imageries we have in the game. There are hawks, war hawks, but I don't know, they kind of feel very different in vibes, even though they are technically birds. The two like really bird-like imageries we have are the Deathrite birds, Deathbirds. The second is the cuckoo. It's not an actual thing, but it's a symbol used by the Nox. We see this in the Black Moon of Noxtella, and all over Raya Lucaria. They have a bunch of these bird cages, and they have the Cuckoo Knights that work for the Academy, and they're all magic related. What if this cuckoo that they use as a symbol all the time is just one of the sides of the Twinbird, and the other side would be something more similar to the Deathrite birds, magic and death. Pretty cool little thing. Oh, also, I wanted to add that real life reference here. I thought I was clever by discovering this. It turns out Quelaag talked about this in her video. Why is she so good with these things? There are the two ravens of Odin in Norse mythology, one representing memory and the other thought. This could most definitely be the inspiration of the Twinbird, or have something to do with the Twinbird. The raven of thought could definitely be equated to the magic side of the Twinbird. Thought, magic, learning, academy, you know. And memory could be equal to the death one, like, you know, memory of the deceased, what once was alive, you know, Day of the Dead, Coco, Un Poco Loco, Dia de la Muerte. So yeah, just pretty cool. There might actually be something to this. Next one, we got a couple last ones. I'm adding these off camera. I keep remembering things as I keep going along. These theories don't fucking end ever. But here we go. This next one could again be a reach, but I think that the dragons here referencing this line, after all, this seal and lightning itself are both imbued with gold. This is basically the reason why after the Ancient Dragon War happened, that they were allowed to sort of join the faction of the Greater Will, or Leyndell more accurately. They were part of the Greater Will. They had the Primal Elden Ring before, but then something happened, I guess. Power was transferred to Marika instead of Farum Azula and stuff. But yeah, this line was used to justify the union of dragons and Leyndell, because they're both golden. I think that's BS propaganda by the Greater Will. I think it's bullshit. Because I'm pretty sure lightning is not golden, at least not golden in the way of like Greater Will kind of golden. I definitely think it is a natural thing that happens and is not something Greater Will related. First of all, because lightning things scale with dex, with dexterity, and not faith. Anything holy, Greater Will related, usually draw power from faith, not dex. There's that. Also, it's not really golden, it's like yellow. Also, the ancient dragon lightning was also red, so why do they not fit in with the Golden Order? Because they have red lightning, like Lansax and Fortisax. Also, even if this is true, you were literally just fighting a fucking couple days ago, and then now you're like, oh, we're friends, because you are gold after all, so it doesn't conflict with our beliefs. You were just like trying to kill each other just a couple minutes ago, and now you're all right because, oh, we're actually the same color. I think this is a bullshit made up thing by the Greater Will to just justify them, the dragons being, you know, implemented into Leyndell and stuff, like the ancient dragon cult and everything. They would be the type to do that. Also, lightning strikes. If lightning is such a holy thing, why the hell does it strike in the Forbidden Lands out of all places? The place where you're not supposed to go, the blasphemous place. You know, and Fulgur Bloom, obviously a lightning related plant, it's only able to craft lightning related stuff. There's like nothing, lightning doesn't seem like strike me as something holy. It just seems something that's part of nature and not something of the Greater Will. So yeah, this line seems kind of sus to me. And it seems kind of bullshit to me. It's just probably something made up. Definitely just sounds like a made up reason, like on the spot, to justify stuff. Anyways, we're almost there. We're almost at the fucking end. I got two more. Stone Bodies underground in Nox. We don't have any fucking clue what's going on there. But if we believe that the magic and death is the same thing, what if the Nox realized this and that discovery turned them into stone, or their pursuit of higher and higher advancement of magic led them to death, the very magic that they sought. They could also be, I guess, failed silver tears, because there's a bunch of silver tear husks, silver tears just around the area. They even like drop from the ceiling and shit. So you think those could be just failed attempts of silver tears, mimic tears? Could be. But finding out that magic and death is the same thing, and then just fucking transforming into these stone creatures after that realization sounds way more cool. And I guess the knocks that did remain are like, yeah, I'm not going that far. I'm like, alright, right here. Just kidding, I lied. There wasn't only 2 more. There's actually a lot more before the last one. But I just wanted to make this a like rapid fire theories section of things I thought while actually editing this, or just things I forgot to say. First of all, there is a Count Ymir. This is from the playtest of the DLC. Ymir is a giant in Norse mythology, and I remembered in Berto Please's video in the 1.0 version there is a sorcery called like Goliath's Stars, and that's like one of the first glintstone sorceries, if not the first, and it's been theorized that because of the name Goliath, maybe it was from a giant sorcerer. We know fire giants chilled with the astrologers in the mountaintops. Astrologers studied the stars, so Night and Flame is very connected. So maybe this Count Ymir could be that fire giant, or not. Maybe just another fire giant sorcerer. Next one, this is a fact. Sellia is sanctioned by the Golden Order. You kind of already know this because Radahn trained there. I was just confused by the timeline when I saw this golden statue, this Golden Order statue on top of Sellia. It couldn't have been made when Sellia was made, because the marriage of the moon and the Erd Tree was only recent. This is only when Radagon and Renala got married. And from what I remember, Zur or Lusat, one of the founding members of the Academy of Rea Lucaria, is from Sellia. Sellia couldn't have been made originally with the Golden Order statue, because just the timeline wouldn't add up. I think they just added that statue after the fact, and like Radahn moved in and became besties with the Sellians. This could actually be side theory based on this last one, that's the reason why Sellia is just so like interested in invisibility magic. Maybe it could be that since the Golden Order moved there, that they were sanctioned by them, that they've always felt that there was an eye staring at them, like something always over their shoulders. And probably wanting more like individuality, or just wanting to break free from that. Maybe that's why they study invisibility magic, to be invisible from the Golden Order. Maybe something like that. Next one is that Mohg and Morgott could still be besties. So Mohg the Omen is a projection in the sewers, and he blocks the path to the Three Fingers. And behind him is, interestingly, a seal put there by Morgott the Gracegiven, who also blocks the way to the Three Fingers. We know that Mohg, who works for, the Lord of Blood, Morgott works for the Golden Order. They're two, although being brothers, they're just two far apart things in terms of motives and stuff. So why the hell would they be working together? Well, if they're guarding the way to the Three Fingers, which has the Frenzied Flame that is capable of burning down everything, everything from Miquella's Cocoon, Mohgwyn Dynasty, to Leyndell, and the Erd Tree itself, maybe that's why they're working together, like sort of a temporary alliance, which is so fucking cool to me, to just know the fact that for this one thing, the Golden Order and the Mohgwyn Dynasty work together to stop this one thing that could spell the end for them both. You may also argue that this projection is actually placed there by Morgott and not actually Mohg, so he has nothing to do with it. But that would actually still be pretty sweet, although in another way. The fact that Morgott still, I guess, remembers his brother enough to even leave a projection of him there, that's pretty cute. Either way, there's still like some respect, some brotherly love there, I think. I don't know. Probably very little left, but there's something. Next one, grafting is an attempt of Godric or Godfrey to copy Godfrey Siraj. So Godfrey Siraj is this powerful duo. Siraj Beast Regent hangs on to Godfrey's back. The real purpose is to quell his bloodlust, but it could be that Godfrey and Godfrey misunderstood this and sort of thought that Siraj made him stronger, like boosted his power. So they wanted to replicate it. Although they did a very bad job, because not only did they understand the whole Godfrey Siraj dynamic, they also didn't remember that Siraj actually consented to hanging on to Godfrey. And I'm pretty sure that all the body parts on them did not consent to this. But yeah. Next one is the Crescent Moon. There is a crescent moon imagery throughout the game. And like in the item description of the Crescent Axe, it's said to be like a nostalgic thing, brings nostalgia. So maybe this is a moon in the Land of Shadow, a moon of like a bygone age. It could also be the second moon. I know there's Relana is a boss, the twin moon dude. The Crescent Moon could be the other moon, although not really looking like it in gameplay. It could just be that the Crescent Moon is like an older form of the full moon, because just like a real life moon, it has different phases, like full, new, blood moon, even blue moon. Maybe the Crescent Moon is just another side of the full moon, or it's twin moon. Next one, quick one. Stormlord has something to do with a great Serpent Hunter spear, because it has like a sort of wind effect when you attack with it during the Rykard boss fight, and Stormlord is like the wind dude we all know. Last thing, this thing could be Frenzied Flame related just because of the yellow color, or it could be Deathblight related. It does have like a little bit of goldish hue. Also, it looks like it's in a swamp. Maybe it could be a Deathblight swamp of some sort. It also could be a worm face, because just look at it. And also, it's in a forest like the many worm faces. Also, one last thing, this thing, whatever that is, might be the same species slash connected to these things, just because they look the same. And I think they move like little worm dudes. Last thing, this worm thing in the trailer could actually be whatever this thing is depicting from Faramazula that I saw from Zuli the Witch's video. She thought it could be related to with the worm faces, so maybe this is like their cousin or something. I don't know. But that's it. I'm gonna send you off to the main video now. That is all from future me. Bye-bye. And oh my god, we're at the very last one. Thank you so much, guys, for coming with me on this journey. It's 11:56 p.m. of the second day, and oh my god, I'm tired. We have a trip to go to tomorrow, where I'm gonna just figure out how to get this uploaded. I don't even know if this is watchable or enjoyable anymore, but I just want to vomit out my theories somewhere and then go back, like to serve as a time capsule, I guess, to see what theories were right and wrong, and say, ha! I was so fucking wrong on this one, but I was so right on this one. Just to be able to say that. It would be cool if this got a lot of views and likes and comments. Feel free to do those if you want. That means a lot to me, because I've worked really hard on this video. Or to at least get the knowledge to create this video. So that would mean a lot to me. Hopefully I can, again, contribute to the lore hunting, theory crafting of the community. Maybe help someone else get an actual right theory. If I get noticed by any big lore tubers, I would literally die. That would be so cool, but we're just dreaming here. Anyways, last thing, it's not really a theory, but there are micro stories being told throughout the lands. I mean this through just the environment, through the flowers, and through item pickups is where I'm seeing these the most. There is just too much examples of this, but for the flowers one, flowers take the color of the things around them. So we get normal flowers, and then we get sort of like yellowish flowers in the Altus Plateau. When there's a lot of magic, there's blue flowers. We see this a lot in Liurnia. Wherever there's death, like in graveyards, we see purple flowers, in which I learned this from Quailag. Purple was actually the original hue of Ghost Flame, so a color related to death. So wherever there's purple flowers, there's probably the original Ghost Flame there, or maybe just general death around the area. It also seems to be that there are red flowers in places of battle, of war, of bloodshed, probably. And then there's white flowers in places like affected by chemicals, like chemical warfare, just like the giant perfume arrows used in the Shattering War. So there's those things. There's some pretty obvious examples of these, but then there's just sometimes where you're just walking across Limgrave, and then there's just one random patch of purple flowers, maybe a few random patches of blue flowers, and you're like, why is that there? I might be overthinking, but if it's a purple one, could someone have been burned by ghost flame there, or someone died there? If there's red, maybe there was a battle here, like maybe just a small like 1v1. If there's blue here, was a lot of magic cast in this one location? Who knows? It could just generally be a micro story that could not be intentional at all, like just placed there to show that, hey, these different things happen in all parts of the world. But they're definitely there, I'm pretty sure. If the flowers really do adapt to their environment and those flowers are colored that way, I think they do imply a couple things. Probably not any large intentional secret story or anything like that, but just, again, micro stories. We also see this in item pickups. Like, just pick up an item, and it probably most likely will relate to the environment. The best example, I guess, is that there's a graveyard in Altus Plateau, which is full of they who live in death. And there are corpses there that you pick up holy related stuff, so like holy grease and stuff. So with that alone, you can kind of paint a basic picture of what's happening here. Holy grease, you apply it on your weapon to get holy damage. Holy damage is effective against they who live in death. It deals more damage to them, and it makes sure that they don't come back a second time. So if there's a corpse holding holy grease in this graveyard full of they who live in death, what probably happened here is there was a dude that tried to slay they who live in death, bringing holy grease with him, and then died in the process. So probably not, maybe not even intentional. I'm 90% sure it's not intentional, but it's definitely a thing. I don't know how to word it, but it's definitely there. There's a story to be told there, a very micro story that doesn't matter in the big picture, but little things like those just gets your brain firing, your neurons firing, and your brain just tries to fill in the gaps of what the hell happened here, if there is anything at all. And I think little moments like those are really beautiful, and a lot of them added together I think will make your experience way better. So the next time you see colored flowers, the next time you pick up an item, try to look around the environment, try to see how that flower fits into that place. This could also even be item drops from mobs, I know the basilisks can actually drop. Yeah, there's a chance that they drop Aeonian butterflies. So could it be that basilisks eat Aeonian butterflies, collect them, or maybe Aeonian butterflies are drawn to them? There's just a lot of micro stories to be told through just looking at these simple things. So go on and search for yourselves, and who knows, maybe you'll be able to come up with all these fucking theories too. Even more mind-blowing, crazy conspiracy ones, and maybe you'll help us all get a little bit closer to the truth, which is something impossible to achieve with these games. But yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for fucking watching. I'm so tired. I just want to get this video out. Probably put a couple pictures, corrections, background music, stuff like that, and just get it out there. I don't care anymore. I just want to set in stone that, hey, I thought of these things. I think they're pretty cool. Maybe they can help you, the community, out. Find out more about the lore. And it'll be pretty cool too if I can get, support on my channel because of this. My videos are not all like this. If you're a subscriber, hello. I'm definitely not turning into an Elden Ring channel. Don't worry. I just really needed to get this out there. I just had to. Forgive me. But yeah, if this is your first video on the channel, feel free to check out the others. I do a ton of stuff. I think I can consider myself a variety creator. I don't know if I can call myself that word, but yeah. consider subscribing, liking. I appreciate anything, any traction on this video. I'd really appreciate. I spent so long on this and finally fucking done with it. Oh my god. That's it. Feel free to correct me in the comments, I guess. Share this to a friend who's played Elden Ring. Maybe they'll appreciate this. Just go get talking. I want to get people talking about these things. I think it's pretty cool. But yeah, I guess that's it. I'm gonna click stop recording now and get to editing this. I hope you enjoyed. However messy this was, I hope you took something out from it. Probably repeated myself a lot of times, stumbled words, didn't explain stuff well, but I hope you got something from the video. And I hope I executed it at least 1% well, you know. But yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Enjoy the DLC, because I will have no life when June 21 comes. So yeah. Bye-bye. Ah!